My name is Billy Sample, and we go from here in New York, and we throw it out to Arizona. Peoria at Scottsdale. And Scottsdale playing again after the death of Darnell Stinson, so there'll be some heavy hearts there. Victor Rojas and Jeff Munn with the broadcast.
Well, thanks, Billy. Victor Rojas alongside Jeff Munn. That was Billy Sample and Brian McCray, of course, back in the New York studios. And it is with a heavy heart that we bring you today's broadcast here of the Arizona Fall League as the Fall League decides to go back into play here this afternoon. As Billy mentioned, the Scottsdale Scorpions getting ready to take on the Peoria Saguaros, pardon me. And, Jeff, it's kind of a weird situation down here in the desert. We were just talking about before the game, the death, of course, of Darnell Stinson that occurred a couple of nights ago. And something that it really didn't come out in the news here locally until late on Wednesday afternoon.
And it was late Wednesday night before a lot of the news media got a hold of it, and it was not even in the local newspaper, the main newspaper, the Arizona Republic, on Thursday. It was a banner story in the East Valley Tribune. I think the Fall League has done a pretty admirable job in dealing with this in terms of paying tribute to Darnell Stinson by not playing yesterday, but there's a point where it's not good for players to sit around any longer, and it's time to get back to work.
Well, the Arizona Fall League is going to pause for a moment here before this game gets underway. The Scottsdale Scorpions are lining up the third base line. The Peoria Saguaros lining up that first base line, and there'll be some words and, of course, a moment of silence. And it's unfortunate this time that fans are finally coming out to the Arizona Fall League because of a situation like this. And we'll pause right now for our public address announcer here at Scottsdale Stadium.
The Arizona Fall League is deeply saddened by the tragic and unfortunate death of Cincinnati Reds prospect Darnell Stinson. Darnell was selected in the third round of the June 1996 draft and spent his entire 7-year professional career with the Boston Red Sox organization before he was claimed by the Reds in February of this year. Stinson was a highly touted outfield prospect, and his dreams of making it to the show were realized when he made his big league debut against the Arizona Diamondbacks on August 13th. In the Arizona Fall League, Darnell played for the Scottsdale Scorpions, and in 18 games compiled a 394 average, which led the Scorpions and ranked 7th in the AFL. In addition, his .453 on-base percentage also led the team and was fourth highest in the league. Darnell was born and still resided in LaGrange, Georgia. The Arizona Fall League and Major League Baseball extend their deepest condolences to his family, friends, teammates, and the Cincinnati Reds organization. We will now have a moment of silence honoring the memory of Darnell Stinson. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you remain standing for the playing of our national anthem.
Arizona Fall League acknowledges, of course, the death and the passing of Darnell Stinson, the farmhand of the Cincinnati Reds organization. Both teams lined up along the foul lines as they make way back to their respective dugouts. We're going to pause right here. We'll reset. When we come back, we'll run down the starting lineups with you from Scottsdale Stadium as you're listening to Arizona Fall League action live and exclusively right here on MLB.com radio.
This is Andy Pettit of the New York Yankees. It's never easy to stand your ground when facing the best hitters in the game, but with practice, you gain confidence. To teach values that go beyond the diamond, Major League Baseball charities and Boys and Girls Clubs of America have teamed up to bring baseball and softball to kids around the world. Through programs like RBI and Rookie League, boys and girls learn about teamwork, fair play, and respect. Because when kids believe in themselves, amazing things can happen.
Get the perfect gift for the baseball fan in your life at MLB Shop on MLB.com. You can purchase jackets, jerseys, caps, and clothes for men, women, and children. Get a snazzy new batting practice jersey or a classic replica jersey of your favorite team. You can even customize your jersey. Best of all, it can all be done online. Plus, the MLB Shop has baseball cards, bobblehead dolls, books, videos, and so much more. All purchases are private and secure, and the MLB Shop accepts all major credit cards. Click on the MLB Shop button at the top right of MLB.com and get that perfect gift today.
Raven, we've got bandits at 1 o'clock.
Fight's on.
Engaging now.
What kind of person can handle an F-16 dueling in a Mach-speed dogfight? Why, a math teacher, of course, when she's in the National Guard and Reserve. Nearly half of today's military are members of the Guard and Reserve, but they can't do it without their employer's support. If you're an employer, visit www.esgr.org and learn how to do your part. After all, their response depends on yours. A public service message from ESGR and the Ad Council.
Welcome back out to Scottsdale Stadium as we get ready for this afternoon's contest here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I don't know if the appropriate term is the irony, but we have talked about and joked about over the last 2 weeks, Jeff, how wonderful the weather has been here, the sunshine, the 80-degree temperatures, and, you know, you come to a ballpark today after games were canceled on Wednesday night, and, of course, the entire schedule yesterday. The sunshine is nowhere to be found. I mean, it's completely overcast. It's kind of a dreary day, and it's unfortunate of which, as the Scorpions get ready to take the field, this is the atmosphere that by which they have to play today's ball game and the rest of the schedule. It's not just today. You've got 5 more regular season games. It's the ball club that's 5 games out with 6 games to go, including today, and really don't have a shot at the championship, but it all doesn't really matter anymore.
Focus is going to be a big issue for all the players in this league, I think, the rest of the way, and especially with Scottsdale. As we noticed during the moment of silence in the national anthem, several of the players from the Reds organization were standing arm in arm with each other. This is a traumatic experience. It goes without saying, but especially when you're in your young to mid-20s, that maybe this is the first time in your life that you've been confronted with something this tragic. And it's a very difficult thing for anyone to go through under these circumstances. And to try and play a game where you must try to focus is going to be quite a challenge. And at the same time, as I was saying a moment ago, I also don't think it's very productive to be in a situation where you're not playing. I think at some point you have to go on. You have to get back out on the field and play. And I think the Arizona Fall League has done as good a job as you could do under these circumstances in paying tribute to Janelle Stinson, but getting back to the business of baseball and trying in some way to get the focus back on baseball as best as they can.
Well, no question about that. Flag is at half-staff, of course, as it will be throughout, I'm assuming, the rest of the Arizona Fall League schedule here. And as you mentioned, Jeff, it's tough enough for these kids. They had spring training. They had a full season. Some of these kids played short season. You're into November now. You're into that last week of the Arizona Fall League. Now is when you get to the point where pitchers have hit their pitch limits. Hitters have gotten the amount of at-bats. You've had some injuries. Kochman has gone home because of hamstring problems. So it's the last stretch. It's that much more difficult for them. And, oh, by the way, you have a general managers meeting that begins on Monday, with the game times being affected on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week. Those guys are all going to be here, plus field managers. How much more difficult can it be for these kids to have to deal with this situation? Know it's a long season, but yet have to step it up because there's a lot of big boys that are going to be here next week.
And on top of that, this will be the last baseball they'll play until spring training commences, and there's going to be a long winter of sitting around and thinking about what is going on in the last couple of days. And understandably, that's going to be the thought that's going to be overriding the minds of a lot of these players as they go through the winter, as they look to next spring at the various camps in Florida and Arizona.
Well, we're just about ready for first pitch here as Greg Powell delivers a first pitch strike, and we're underway from Scottsdale Stadium. The Peoria Saguaros come in at 16-13 in second place in the American Division, trailing the Mesa Solar Sox. And Dave Krenzel from the Brewers chops on the right side. Hairston, the second baseman's got it. Flips on to first, and just like that, one batter up, one batter down, and we are underway. And as Jeff Munn was saying, one of the things you could do to try to at least put things behind you, and I know it's still early in the grieving process, is to maintain busy and keep your focus on the field. And that's what Rick Burleson, a member of the Cincinnati Reds organization, forced or at least shared with his team this afternoon, and I'm sure they gathered yesterday as well, and making sure these guys come out and try to remain focused to a certain extent. Gotro, the second batter, swinging at the first pitch, grounds to Loney, the first baseman, and two batters up, two batters down. They'll run down the starting lineups for the Peoria Saguaros. It's Krenzel from the Brewers leading it off in center field. Gotro at second base from the Padres. He bats second. David Wright from the Mets. He bats third, plays third base. Adrian Gonzalez is the cleanup hitter from the Rangers. He'll play first base. It'll be Josh Willingham from the Florida Marlins serving as the DH, batting in the number 5 spot. Batting in the 6th hole is Chris Aguila from the Florida Marlins. He's in left field today. John Knott will play right field from the Padres organization, bat 7th, Justin Huber does the catching from the Mets. He'll bat 8th. And it'll be J.J. Fermaniak, the shortstop from the Padres organization, batting 9th. So Krenzel, Gotro, Wright, Gonzalez, Willingham, Aguila, Knott, Huber, and Fermaniak for the Peoria Saguaros. 1-0 pitch is chopped foul into the dugout along the third base side. 1 ball and 1 strike. Greg Powell is the right-hander from the Astros, gets the start for the Scottsdale Scorpions. Jeff, and we talked about it. Two pretty good pitchers as far as control pitchers today. We don't want to jinx ourselves, but Ben Hendrickson going for Peoria, Greg Powell going for Scottsdale.
I think both managers have to feel very good today about the guys they're sending out there because, as you said, neither one of these guys has gotten into a lot of problems with bases on balls. Powell has given up 1 walk in 25 2/3 innings. Hendrickson has given up 2 in 22 2/3. So these guys are going to be around the plate, and you figure that the batters are going to be hacking at what they see coming up there today.
No question about it. And we've seen that from the first 2 batters. David Wright just broke his bat on a chopper foul up the third baseline, 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 outs here in the top of the first inning from Scottsdale Stadium. A 1-2 slapped down a right field line and out of play. So the count will remain 1-2. Smitherman from the Reds is in left field. Gornall in center. Kroger in right field. It's King at third. Santos at short. Hairston at second. Loney at first. And Dane Sardina does the catching also from the Cincinnati Reds organization. The 1-2 off speed just missed outside of the right hand hitting right. And the count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Right from the Mets, a 347 average down here. A little looper into shallow center field. Gornall coming on, and he'll make the catch on the run for the 3rd out. So an easy inning for Greg Powell here to start off this ball game. 3 up and 3 down. We head to the bottom of the first inning. No scores. You're listening to Arizona Fall League action live on MLB.com radio.
I'm Bob Costas. This year would have marked Lou Gehrig's 100th birthday. The legendary Iron Horse of baseball gave his heart and soul to America's favorite pastime, but he gave his life and name to the fatal disease, ALS, now best known as Lou Gehrig's disease. You can help strike out ALS. Call the ALS Association at 1-800-782-4747 or log on to alsa.org. Thanks.
Your grandparents came here.
The long drive, and it's a home run for Joe DiMaggio.
Your parents came here.
Here comes Roger Maris in to score, and Cepeda pulling to second with a double.
Now it's your turn.
Number 3,000 for one of the great players of all time, George Brett.
Cooperstown, New York, a tradition of excellence for 7 decades. Be a part of it. For information, call 1-888-HALL of Fame.
From the first pitch of spring training to the last pitch of the World Series, MLB.com radio brings unique and exclusive coverage of Major League Baseball. That continues during the winter months with Arizona Fall League action, hot stove reports, and baseball winter meetings. In November, check out live and exclusive play-by-play of Arizona Fall League action with the hottest prospects in baseball. December means baseball's winter meetings live from New Orleans as we bring you conversations with the managers and team officials from every ball club. Get the latest news with free agent signings and off-season moves on the Hot Stove Shows. Get updates on Winter League and the news from the minor leagues on the Baseball America Hour. #1 baseball source all year long. This is MLB.com Radio. Well, bottom of the first inning we go. No score. Give you the starting lineup for the Scottsdale Scorpions. Scott Harrison leads it off from the D-backs. He's the second baseman. James Loney at first base, bats second from the Dodgers. Steven Smitherman plays left field from the Reds organization. He'll bat third. Josh Kroger from the D-backs will bat cleanup in right field. It'll be Brennan King from the Dodgers over at third base, batting fifth. Batting sixth will be Sergio Santos from the D-backs. He's the shortstop. Batting seventh, Chris Snyder, also from the D-backs. He'll be the designated hitter today. Dane Sardina does the catching, bats in number 8 spot from the Reds. And Nick Gornall from the Anaheim Angels organization will bat ninth and plays center field. So it's Hairston, Loney, Smitherman, Kroger, King, Santos, Snyder, Sardina, and Gornall. Facing the right-hander from the Milwaukee Brewers organization, Ben Hendrickson. Hairston swinging at the 2-0 pitch, nubs one over to the first baseman Gonzalez, who flips to Hendrickson for the first out. So with one out, that'll bring up James Loney, the first baseman. Hendrickson from the Brewers, as I mentioned, 0-1 mark in a 2.38 earned run average, 22 2/3 innings. He's allowed 22 hits, struck out 17, as Jeff mentioned, just walked 2 batters in the Arizona Fall League. So a lot of strikes. Fell behind at Hairston 2-0, pulled the string, a little change-up, a little cue job by Hairston for the first out. Loney, a left-hand hitting first baseman, takes a breaking pitch down and in for ball one. Loney took over pretty much the everyday duties at first base for Rick Burleson when Casey Kochman was sent home with a hamstring injury. Check swing foul. Ball of 1 strike. Kochman, highly touted prospect out of the Anaheim Angels organization. And one thing that he can't seem to get over is the injury bug. Loney's done a nice job. He's hit .262, a home run, 4 runs batted in as time is called.
Looking at Hendrickson, he fits in that pattern of those big, tall, powerful right-handers that the Brewers seem to have a bunch of in their system.
Pitch missed down and away, 2 balls and a strike.
One thing's for sure, if he's around the plate and keeps his walk totals down, he'll be finding out about Miller Park sooner than he thinks.
Yeah. That pitch missed downstairs, 3 balls and a strike. One out here in the bottom of the first inning. No score. There's a ground ball over to the first baseman, Gonzalez. He'll take it himself. 2 up and 2 down here in the bottom of the first. And Steven Smitherman will step in. Set the defense for Peoria. It's Aguila in left, Krenzel in center, not in right field. Wright is at third base, Romaniak at short, Gautreau at second. Adrian Gonzalez over at first base, and Justin Huber out of the Mets does the catching. But as Jeff was saying, Ben Hendrickson, big guy, 6'4", 190-pounder, right-hander. Out of Eden Prairie, Minnesota, selected by the Brewers in the 10th round back in 1999. 7-6 at Double-A as Smitherman fouls one off. No balls and a strike. Hendrickson with a 3.45 ERA and 16 starts at Double-A this year. It's just 78 innings. Gave up 82 hits, struck out 56, and walked 28. The 0-1 curveball low. A ball and a strike. 1-1 pitch on the way. Fastball missing it. 2-1 the count.
Victor, here's a young man, when we talk about focus, who will obviously have some challenges. He was right in the center of that group of Cincinnati players along the baseline, arms wrapped around each other.
2-1 downstairs, 3 balls and a strike.
And what we should point out, and is not only are these Cincinnati players who were teammates of Stinson with this club, but throughout the system, so they know Durnell pretty well.
That pitch is fouled off, a good curveball, full count now.
And spent time together with Stinson and the Cincinnati organization, so the impact on them, obviously, is going to be much deeper than it is perhaps on many of the other players in the Fall League.
Yep, and you can't forget, I mean, Durnell Stinson was a member of the Cincinnati Reds organization this year, picked up on waivers from the Boston Red Sox. But just imagine the extensive family from the Boston Red Sox, with whom Stinson played since 1996. Diving stop over at third base by Wright. He gets up, throws to first, not in time. Smitherman able to leg it out. But David Wright, ranging to his right, and in foul territory, dove, caught it, and a little two-bouncer throw was not able to get Smitherman. So he reaches on the infield single with 2 outs, and that'll bring up Josh Kroger. But my point being that there's a lot of friends in the Boston Red Sox family that will miss Darnell Stinson. The third-round selection back in '96. Born in LaGrange, Georgia, lived in LaGrange, Georgia. And I know there have been 2 arrests made so far in connection to the death of Darnell Stinson. And more information hopefully will come out soon. They are looking for a third suspect. So it's really not something we care to speculate about. Line drive off of the glove of Gonzalez. Gautreau backing up. He's not going to be able to get Kroger. Adrian Gonzalez had a liner come right at him, reached up a little bit with his left-handed glove. Couldn't get the webbing on it. It is ruled an error. The runners at first and second base, 2 outs for Brennan King.
One thing we're noticing here early on is that with both sides in the first inning, that everybody's getting around on pitches. Smitherman's ball, especially a big hanging curveball, he was able to drive down the line.
Yep. Hendrickson slipped on that delivery. Landing area on the mound a little bit soft. Justin Huber goes out between the mound and the home plate area. He talks him a little bit as Hendrickson does a little bit of landscaping. 1 ball and no strikes on King from the Dodgers organization. .310 average. A home run, 8 runs batted in. 1-0 off speed, missing up and into the right-hander. 2-0.
You know, you talked about the fact that the GM meetings are next week and that a lot of the executives are going to come into town. I wouldn't be surprised if several people higher up in the Reds front office are already here to talk to some of these players.
Yeah, no question. There's a long fly ball deep to left field. Aguila going back, shading his eyes, and he'll make the catch on the warning track for the third out. Sun's starting to peek out a little bit here in Scottsdale. Nothing doing for the Scorpions in their half of the first inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error, and 2 left on base. We played 1 here at Scottsdale Stadium. No scores. You're listening to Arizona Fall League action live on MLB.com radio.
Hey, fantasy baseball freaks and geeks. The Fantasy 411 is back for the 2003 offseason with Corey Schwartz and me, Mike Piano, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll give you the fantasy impact of all the offseason moves like free agent signings, trades, and even front office changes. Plus, we'll answer all your emails at radio@MLB.com. So don't get caught up in all the turkey and all that holiday shopping this offseason. Check us out on the Fantasy 411 every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on MLB.com radio.
Hey, baseball fans. Only MLB.com takes you straight from the ballpark to your computer. So don't miss a second of the action. Check out MLB.com, the only place for live baseball online. Get live games with MLB.tv and game day audio. See live stats with MLB.com's unique game day feature. For fans who just can't get enough of the game, MLB.com, the official site for all things baseball. The #1 site for Major League Baseball fans.
I was 0 for 11, and it was the year that we got Johnny Mize. He said, I'm going to fix my bat up for you. So I'm up there the first time using the bat, and pitch it through and high and inside. I duck, I got the ball, hit the bat, line drive, base hit, and then I got 199 after that.
Relive your fondest memories of Phil Rizzuto and see his Hall of Fame plaque at the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Visit us on the web at baseballhalloffame.org or call 888-HALL-OF-FAME.
What's the deal with Freddie Garcia? Mariner pitching coach Brian Price enlightens us.
What really happened with Freddie is his ball started to come up. and straighten out up in the zone, and he was giving up a lot of extra base hits and home runs, throwing a lot of breaking balls to try to miss bats and things of that nature. We kind of shortened up his arm circle to get the ball down and added a slider and moved him over on the rubber. Probably the biggest thing is that he did for himself was just became more aggressive.
The hottest issues in the game. MLB.com radio.
Top of the second inning we go. Adrian Gonzalez leads it off for the visiting Peoria Saguaros. No score. Gonzalez, a left-handed batter out of the Rangers organization, fouls one off, and that'll leave an account of the ball and a strike. I'm Victor Rojas, sitting next to my partner, Jeff Munn, who joins me this afternoon, will also join me on Monday afternoon. We'll change in our broadcast schedule. We'll be in Mesa as the Solar Sox take on the Javelinas at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. And then next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the 11th, 12th, and 13th, we will begin broadcasting at 4:30 Eastern Time to accommodate the general manager's meeting. A little fister to the right side. Hairston's got it in the outfield grass, bobbles it, picks it up, throws on to first, and in time for the first out. So at least in the early going, it seems as if a lot of guys swinging early in the count, and a lot of guys being fooled. Not too many hard-hit balls. The only one, as you mentioned, was Smitherman. And the fly ball out by Brennan King on a hanging breaking pitch. Kind of carried out to left field, which Chris Aguila was able to track down. This is a big ballpark. We've talked about that. 360 down the left field line, 430 dead central. And 340 in right field. Josh Willingham from the Florida Marlins, a DH today, took a pitch inside, swinging at the next one, fouls it back. Ball and a strike.
You can see, as you mentioned, that a lot of guys are swinging early in the count because they know that Powell's going to be around the strike zone, and they don't want him getting ahead on the count. If they're going to get the pitch they want, they got to go after it early.
One pitch from Powell on the way, breaking ball, missing away. 2 balls and a strike. Powell, as we mentioned, a right-hander out of the Houston Astros organization, 6'4", 200-pounder. As he winds, there's a hot shot to the shortstop, Santos. He dives, knocks it down, bobbles it, not going to make a play. Santos had to go to his left and leave his feet, knocked it down, but as soon as he bobbled it, you can pretty much just put it in your pocket. It is ruled an infield hit.
That was a great effort by Santos just to get to that ball, and it was all he could do to get back up in time and just lost it as he was getting back to his feet. We had been told that his range is pretty good, and there you saw right there. He's got very good range. That ball was going straight up the middle.
Well, they'll move in just a little bit. Hairston and Santos up the middle. First pitch is a called strike to Chris Aguila, the left fielder. Aguila with decent speed. The infielder trying to cheat in a little bit, trying to get an inning-ending double play. Big hole on the left side as Powell will come set. The 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball missing away. A ball and a strike. As I was saying about Powell, he's signed by River City. That's the Frontier League back in 2000. So he went the independent route and had his contract purchased by the Astros in August of 2004. Ended up going to Temple University. Not known for baseball, of course. That pitch missed inside, 2-1. But he has had a solid season, both in 0-2 and A-ball. He was being used primarily in relief. And last year, half of his games were as starts, was 7-9 with a 3.89 at Double-A Round Rock. That, of course, in the Texas League. Throw over to first base. And Willingham back safely.
And, of course, given the news of the week, the Astros might have some spots in relief available going into the spring.
You are correct, sir. Aguila lines one into left field. Nobody's going to get this one. That's going to roll all the way to the wall. Coming around third is going to be Willingham. He's going to score. Aguila strolls into second base, and it's a 1-0 lead for the Peoria Saguaros. Aguila has had a nice Arizona Fall League. Came in hitting 239, but his power numbers are up. 4 home runs with 20 RBIs. Picks up his 5th double of the AFL and RBI number 21.
And he came into the day 4th in the AFL in runs batted in and did a nice job of hitting there. Got the pitch he wanted and was right on top of it to drive it into the gap in left center.
So still one out, man on at second base, and John Knott from the Padres steps in. That pitch almost hit him inside of the right-handed batter. Ball and no strikes. Not a 230 average, 3 home runs, 11 runs batted in. San Diego Padres, of course, get to move into their brand new digs next year. That's Petco Park. And then yesterday, unveiled their new uniforms. That fastball in at the knees, a ball and a strike.
There was a story on the website of the San Diego paper that said it has a very San Diego look, does this new uniform and new logo for the Padres.
I kind of like it myself. You can, of course, visit Padres.mlb.com and get a glimpse of the new uniforms. You can, I'm sure, almost certainly, you could purchase a uniform with your own name on it just by going to the MLB.com shop. We are cross-promoting here.
Atta baby.
2-1 pitch is in there tonight. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, they've got a full layout. They used Brian Giles yesterday to model, I think, the home uniform, and Phil Nevin to model the road uniform.
Yeah, they filled out those uniforms, too. Those awfully big boys.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a home alternate jersey. What I didn't see if they changed their cap, and I still think it's the SD, the interlocking SD. 2-2 outside, full count.
You're right. It is still the blue with the white SD interlocking, and I read on the Padres website that is a tribute to the old San Diego Padres of the Pacific Coast League.
Okay. Good enough for me. I kind of like the new colors. Hey, pitch, ground ball, left side. Third baseman King bobbles it. High throw, not in time. So that should be an error on Brennan King, the third baseman. Had plenty of time. So each ball club with 1 error in this game. And the Saguaros will have runners at first and second base with 1 out, and Justin Huber from the Mets stepping in.
Ironically, because that ball was hit to the left side, Aguila was just frozen at second and really couldn't make a move.
Huber at 229 average, no home runs, 5 runs batted in. As I pull up the San Diego Padres website for you to take a look at. First pitch missing down and away, ball 1. The new Padres logo has a home plate. And there's kind of like the wave down at the bottom, the ocean, I should say. It's the Padres in script.
See, it's very San Diegan.
I like it. I like the road uniforms, all gray, and it just says San Diego. Big block letters across the chest. That's pretty sharp.
That's old school, right? That's what we would say.
Exactly. I think that is old school.
Although the Padres road uniforms they wear now are much the same, gray with San Diego across the front.
Yeah, in an arc.
Yeah.
All same size letters in an arc, correct?
Yeah, this one goes straight across.
The big S and the big D. As Huber lines one in the right center field, base hit. Coming around third base is Aguila. He's going to score. The throw goes to third. That'll hold John Knott at second base. A 2-0 lead for the Saguaros on the RBI single by Justin Huber. It's RBI number 6 for the Mets farmhand. Jeff, you said it, as we have a visit to the mound by Mike Butcher, the pitching coach out of the Angels organization. But both guys are going to be around the plate, and most of these offensive players will be swinging the sticks.
And on both pitches, the one to Aguila for the double and the base hit here by Huber, it was a pitch up in the strike zone, up around the letters, and both Aguila and Huber were able to climb the ladder a little bit and go after those pitches and line them. Aguila in the left center, Huber in the right. So I think we're seeing early on that the best strategy for Powell at this point is to try to keep that ball low, down around the knees, and let guys hit it into the ground, which he was successful in doing early on.
Right. But then the error, of course, by Brennan King, which would have made it 2 outs. Instead, there's still only 1. First and second. J.J. Fermaniak, the batter. Fermaniak also a Padres farmhand. .226 average, no home runs, 4 runs batted in. There's a chopper to left side. King's got it. Tags the bag at third. Throws across in time for the inning-ending double play. But not before Peoria puts 2 runs on the board on 3 hits. There was an error by Scottsdale, and they strand a runner. We head to the bottom of the second inning. 2-0. Saguaros lead it as you're listening to Arizona Fall League action live on MLB.com radio.
I'm Derek Jeter. When I was growing up, my parents and I would go to the schoolyard every weekend and play ball. They teach me how if I practiced and didn't give up, my swing could get better. But if I got in front of the ball and wasn't afraid, I could stop it. But there weren't any shortcuts to becoming a better player. But if I believed in myself, I could do it. Funny, all that time, I thought they were teaching me how to play baseball.
Helping your kids find a dream can help keep them off drugs. This message brought to you by Partnership for Drug-Free America. Visit us at drugfreeamerica.org.
Avoid going into spring training wondering where the free agents have landed and what your team looks like heading into the 2004 season. Let MLB.com radio keep you informed with our Hot Stove Report. Mainstays Seth Everett, Billy Sample, and Jonathan Mayo bring you the most up-to-date information while they chat with general managers, scouts, and those inside. Just because the World Series is over doesn't mean we stop thinking baseball. The Hot Stove Report, found only at MLB.com radio.
Hi, this is Tommy Lasorda. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate my good friend, Ben Platt, for the great interviews he does on MLB.com radio.
Well, thank you, Tommy. You know, I try to interview everyone in baseball, from Hall of Famers like you to the new stars just coming on the scene, every morning on the Baseball Breakfast with Billy Sample and Jonathan Mayo, and afternoons on deck with Seth Everett and Victor Rojas.
Hey, Ben, one thing I don't get is, what's this Benny P stuff?
Tommy, it's just a radio nickname they gave me back in the station.
Benny P this, Benny P that. You weren't Benny P 10 years ago when you started out covering the Dodgers. I'm one of the few guys that knew you when you were poor. Man, I thought you were going to soil yourself every time you did an interview with me.
Man, last year he accused me of starting the Kingman interview, now this. The Benny P interviews, exclusively on MLB.com radio.
Benny P, what a joke.
Bottom of the second inning we go. Scottsdale trailing at 2-0. Sergio Santos leads it off for the Scorpions. Swings and misses on a high fastball for strike one. 2 runs, 3 hits, an error for Peoria. No runs, a hit, and 1 error for Scottsdale. Santos, a .235 average. Takes a curveball in there for strike 2. Right-handed hitter and shortstop. 2 home runs. 9 runs batted in, 3 doubles, 2 triples here in the Arizona Fall League. 0-2 curveball, check swing. They ask for help. First base umpire Chad Fairchild says no, he didn't. So the count goes to ball and 2 strikes.
Santos is one of those new breed of infielders, a guy that's big, and you would a few years ago put him at the corners.
It's jammed here. Slow roller up the third base line. It's a fair ball. Throwing on the run is the third baseman Wright, and they able to get Santos at first base. We're out number 1.
Well, that's a great play by Wright. His momentum's taking him into foul territory, and he's able to make a perfect throw to first while on the move.
So 1 out, and that'll bring up another Diamondbacks farmhand. A catcher by trade, but a designated hitter this afternoon, Chris Snyder. Snyder, a .256 average, a home run, 5 runs batted in. He does have a double. Takes a pitch right down the pipe for strike 1. Well, a surprisingly big crowd here at Scottsdale Stadium. It's unfortunate as that pitch caught the corner for strike 2. And many of the people in attendance, a lot of media, of course, a lot of television cameras and reporters, because of what happened to Janelle Stenson a couple of days ago. 0-2 check swing, foul into the seats. Count remains no balls and 2 strikes.
A few more print reporters out as well from the local newspapers.
0-2 pitch on the way, and that's lined into dead center field. Krenzel going back. He's got a beat on it. Makes the catch for the second out. So Snyder gave it a ride on a hanging breaking ball. It's just not enough. 2 up and 2 down, and Dane Sardina will step in. Here's a kid in his second season here in the Arizona Fall League. Happened to see him last year. And someone whom I like very much as far as a defensive catcher is concerned. I mean, he's a guy that does everything fundamentally sound behind the plate, at least what I have seen of him. And doing a nice job offensively. A .364 average, 2 home runs, 7 runs batted in.
Well, as you know from your own experience, if you've got a catcher who's got great defensive skills, you're going to find a place to put him on a 25-man roster.
Oh, no question about it.
And you'll worry about the offensive numbers down the road.
Exactly. Sardina has done a nice job. Rick Burleson blessed with the fact that he's got 3 solid catchers, 3 solid prospects at catcher on this ball club. That pitch missed down and in. 2-1 now. Jeff Mathis from the Anaheim Angels, the top prospect. Dane Sardina from the Reds. And Chris Snyder from the Arizona Diamondbacks. 2-1. There's a hot shot right to the shortstop for Maniac. He's got it near the bag. Throws on the first. He tied for round number 3. So the first time in this game that Hendrickson retires the side in order. Nothing doing here in the second half, I should say, of the second inning for Scottsdale. We've played 2. Saguaros lead it 2-0 as you're listening to Arizona Fall League action live on MLB.com radio.
MLB.com radio heats up even as the weather cools down. Join Diamondbacks broadcaster and MLB.com radio contributor Victor Rojas as we bring you Arizona Fall League action. Just because the World Series is over doesn't mean the play stops. Check out some of the best the minor leagues has to offer with prospects like Delman Young, J.D. Durbin, and J.R. House, just steps away from the big time. Victor Rojas in Arizona Fall League action. It's MLB.com radio heating up on the road to the 2004 season. And don't worry, it's a dry heat.
You love the game. You love your team. And you love your friends and family. So to get home safely, you hand off your keys to a sober, designated driver. America's all-star team of sports leagues, stadium service partners, brewers, broadcasters, and traffic safety experts thanks the sober, designated drivers who make sure you buckle up and get you home safely.
Victor Rojas has done it all. He's played minor league baseball, worked the bullpen as a catcher with the Florida Marlins. He was the general manager of a minor league team that won a championship, and now he works as part of the broadcast team for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Yet with all of that, Victor still finds time to fill us with many baseball tidbits.
Since you're all fired up, Ricky's a pretty quotable guy.
Yeah.
Just ask him. I don't want to be one of those great players who never made it to the series. He played in 3 World Series. Well, I'm not one of them, so that's 49% right there on Ken Caminiti's claim that at least 50% of the big leaguers use steroids. Wait, it gets better. Steve Finley was Henderson's teammate in San Diego. The tale has them boarding a bus when Finley told Henderson, sit anywhere you want, you've got tenure. To which Henderson said, 10 years? What are you talking about? Ricky got 16, 17 years. Oh, that's classic.
Victor Rojas, attitude, humor, and knowledge of the game. Just another few reasons to listen to MLB.com radio.
Believe it.
Well, top of the third inning we go. Top of the order for the Peoria Saguaros. Dave Krinzel, Jake Gautreau, David Wright. Set to lead it off against Greg Powell. And Krinzel pops one up, foul territory, right side. Loney, the first baseman, reaches into the seats and makes the grab for the first out. Nice play by Loney, getting over to the wall, finding the ball, and then making the catch. So 1 pitch, 1 out. That'll bring up Jake Gautreau.
Right now the Saguaros are just playing right into Powell's hands because he's around the strike zone, as we said. They're going early in the count, and he's getting outs, and that means it's just going to extend his start out a little bit because he's not throwing too many pitches.
Sure. King, even with the bag at third base for Gautreau, takes a pitch in there for strike 1. Gautreau, left-handed batter, getting the start at second base, also in his second season in the Arizona Fall League. Saw him play a little bit of third base last year. The 0-1 pops up right side, foul territory, almost the same place, but this one's actually going to get deeper into the seats and out of play. No balls and 2 strikes.
We were talking about Santos a minute ago about the fact that he's a big guy, and clubs like the Diamondbacks now are utilizing the taller players in the middle of the infield, whereas a few years ago, a guy with that kind of size would have been put either at third or even at first. But you see more of that now, where big guys are moving into the middle of the infield spots.
Yep, the 0-2 breaking ball down low, a ball and 2 strikes. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact of nutrition and flexibility and guys. You know, everyone's always talking about you can't put a big guy in the middle part of the defense because they're limited as far as range is concerned. That's not the case anymore. The 1-2 pitch outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes on Gautreaux.
A lot of people will tell you that started with Derek Jeter because Jeter is a fairly tall player for that position at shortstop. But you're right. These guys are a lot more agile now and can cover a lot more ground.
No question. 2-2, breaking ball inside. Full count now.
This is the first time that Powell's gone full on it. The first time he's gone to a 3-ball count.
I think one of the first unusually tall shortstops, of course, had to be Cal Ripken.
Yes.
Payoff pitch, ground ball right side, Loney, the first baseman's got it. He'll take it himself for the second out of the inning here in the third. A lot of ground ball outs to the first baseman in this game for both sides. 2 outs, that'll bring up David Wright.
If you remember about Cal Ripken, they tried a couple times to make him a corner infielder. He really didn't like it that much.
Yeah.
He wanted to stay at short.
Until the latter part of his career.
Right.
And I'm still of the belief that Derek Jeter should eventually move to third base or to second base just because of his range being as limited as he was. And many professional baseball people will tell you the exact same thing. Derek Jeter was never really blessed with exceptional range to begin with. He's a smart guy and positioned himself accordingly. And I think that made him make up for the difference or lack thereof as far as the range situation is concerned. But now with the shoulder problem that he had this year, the dislocation in the first game of the season, and now it turns out he's got a ligament problem in his thumb that happened in the first game of the playoff for postseason against the Boston Red Sox. So, who knows?
I agree with you in the sense that you don't see a lot of spectacular plays by Jeter, but you see a lot of plays that are smart. He's in the right place at the right time. The guy who reads his scouting reports understands the guys at the plate pretty well.
3-1, little liner in their soft liner to center field for a 2-out base hit by David Wright. Third hit of the ball game for Peoria. Fourth hit of the ball game. 3 in the second. 2 outs. Man on at first, Adrian Gonzalez will step in.
Well, no sooner do we say that Powell's keeping his pitch count low. He goes full on Gautreaux.
After getting ahead.
Yeah, and goes 3-1 on Wright and gives up the single.
As far as Derek Jeter goes, nobody's got that right arm pump down better than Derek Jeter. And nobody could stand in front of a dugout waiting for his teammates to come home better than Derek Jeter. Gonzalez breaks his bat, little number back to Powell, the first baseman, flips on to Loney for the third out. And on that note, we'll go to a break. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left on for Peoria. We head to the bottom of the third inning. 2-0. Saguaros lead it as Arizona Fall League action continues live on MLB.com radio.
Hey, Fantasy Baseball freaks and geeks. The Fantasy 411 is back for the 2003 offseason with Corey Schwartz and me, Mike Piano, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll give you the fantasy impact of all the offseason moves like free agent signings, trades, and even front office changes. Plus, we'll answer all your emails at radio@MLB.com. So don't get caught up in all the turkey and all that holiday shopping this offseason. Check us out on the Fantasy 411 every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on MLB.com radio.
Hey, baseball fans. Only MLB.com takes you straight from the ballpark to your computer. So don't miss a second of the action. Check out MLB.com, the only place for live baseball online. Get live games with MLB.tv and game day audio. See live stats with MLB.com's unique game day feature. For fans who just can't get enough of the game, MLB.com, the official site for all things baseball. The #1 site for Major League Baseball fans.
I was 0 for 11, and it was the year that we got Johnny Mize. He said, I'm going to fix my bat up for you. So I'm up there the first time using the bat, and pitch it through and high and inside. I got the ball, hit the bat, line drive, base hit, and then I got 199 after that.
Relive your fondest memories of Phil Rizzuto and see his Hall of Fame plaque at the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Visit us on the web at baseballhalloffame.org or call 888-HALL-OF-FAME.
What's the deal with Freddie Garcia? Mariner pitching coach Brian Price enlightens us.
What really happened with Freddie is his ball started to come up and straighten out up in the zone, and he was giving up a lot of extra base hits and home runs, throwing a lot of breaking balls to try to miss bats and things of that nature. Kind of shortened up his arm circle to get the ball down and added a slider and moved him over on the rubber. Probably the biggest thing is that he did for himself was just became more aggressive.
The hottest issues in the game. MLB.com radio.
Bottom of the third inning we go, 2-0. Peoria Saguaros leading the Scottsdale Scorpions. Scottsdale coming into this one trailing the Saguaros in the American Division by 2 games. They're game under 500 at 13-14. Swing and a miss by Gornall. He goes down swinging for the first out. The first strikeout of the game recorded by either side. One batter up, one batter down. Top of the order, Scott Harrison steps in. Hairston 0 for 1, grounded out to first in his first AB. Fouls one back to the screen for strike one.
We were talking about the irony of the fact that there is a large crowd here today at Scottsdale. The Arizona Republic ran a very nice series of articles on Wednesday about the Fall League and about the fact that it's one of the hidden treasures in terms of sporting attractions here in the Phoenix metro area. And obviously the irony being, of course, the tragedy involving the death of Darnell Stenson.
Yep, that's unfortunate. Hairston lines one into right field on a high fastball with 2 strikes on him and gets a base hit. Good piece of hitting by Scott Hairston. He's now 1 for 2. As he came in hitting .360, among the league leaders in the Arizona Fall League as far as average is concerned. Actually 5th in the AFL. Coming into today's action, Richard Lewis of the Mesa Solar Stock still leading the league at .405 average. James Loney steps in, takes a pitch high for ball 1.
Hairston has to put a smile on a scouting director or a GM's face there because he gets behind in the count, goes the other way with the pitch. So he takes what's given to him and makes something out of it. You're never going to get any complaints from your manager, your GM, your scouting director, anybody when you're able to do that.
And speaking of general managers, to perform in front, Joe Garagiola Jr. in attendance this afternoon, getting a glimpse of a player who is probably, of all the guys, young guys from the Arizona Diamondbacks that are in the Arizona Fall League, is the closest to the major leagues.
Without a question.
Yeah.
There's no question that he's the closest. It doesn't take long to get Diamondbacks officials to start raving about Scott Hairston. Just mention his name and the compliments and the kudos just come flowing out.
2 balls and 2 strikes on James Loney. Of course, Scott Hairston. Good baseball family, solid baseball family. The son of Jerry Hairston, former big leaguer, and the brother of Jerry Hairston Jr., the Baltimore Orioles.
Back when Scott was drafted, his dad and his brother, I believe both, certainly I remember his dad coming down to the Diamondbacks clubhouse the day he was brought in to meet the big league Diamondbacks.
There goes the runner, and Loney fouls one back behind the plate, and the count will remain 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2-0, bottom of the third inning. Peoria leading Scottsdale.
Now, how good is it to be Joe Garagiola Jr. next week during those GM meetings? When he's, pretty much tired of talking to people about different things, he's just get in his car and go home.
Yeah, exactly. 2-2 swing and a miss on a good hard fastball by Ben Hendrickson. Second strikeout of the inning and game. 2 outs now, man at first for Steven Smitherman.
Boy, Hendrickson just reared back and fired that one in there. And that's a pretty good way to pitch when you get a 2-2 count on a hitter, to just blow it by him with heat.
Smitherman with a good pop. In his stick, a 301 average, 3 jacks down here. Swing and a miss, a big hack on the hanging curveball. Pretty quick bat for the big man. Does have 18 runs batted in. He's 1 for 1 this afternoon.
That's the kind of pitch that Smitherman hit down the third base line his first time up, was one that Hendrickson was trying to break off the plate and left it up in the zone. And he did the same thing just there on the first pitch to Smitherman, and he came up empty.
Fastball missing inside, a ball and a strike now.
This is what's, of all the things that are impressive about these two guys working today, they're bringing out everything they got in the bag, so to speak, in terms of their pitch selection. Hard stuff, off speed.
Little jam job by Smith, a little flare to the shortstop for Maniac. He makes a catch in shallow left field for the third out, and you can finish that thought in the next half inning.
I'll do that.
No runs on 1 hit. 1 man left on base. We've played 3 innings from Scottsdale. 2-0. Peoria Saguaros leading it here as you're listening to Arizona Fall League action live on MLB.com radio.
Right now, fall is in full color at Kohl's. Kohl's has all the brands your family loves, like Nike, Levi's, Dockers, Mudd, Lee, Oshkosh, and many more. Every size, every color, fully stocked. And with Kohl's great sale prices, you can bundle up without spending a bundle. Plus, you'll enjoy Kohl's hassle-free returns, stroller carts, easy checkouts, and storefront parking. So come on in and see what's new for fall at Kohl's. Kohl's. Shop happy, leave happy.
Hey, Cardinals fans, STLCardinals.com is the official website for Cardinals information. Don't miss a second of the action. STLCardinals.com is the only place for live baseball action on the net with game day audio. Watch video highlights of every game with postgame.tv. Heading to the ballpark? Buy tickets to any game and buy the latest Cardinal gear online at the shop. For diehard Cards fans like you, STLCardinals.com, the #1 site for Cardinals fans.
Being inducted into the Hall of Fame is the ultimate after you had a successful major league career. Of course, I took 4 years out for World War II. I joined the Navy 2 days after Pearl Harbor, and I'm very proud to be an American and hope I've been a good one.
Relive your fondest memories of Bob Feller and see his Hall of Fame plaque at the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. For more information, visit us on the web at baseballhalloffame.org or call 888-HALL-OF-FAME.
Bases are loaded. There's a hot shot to 11-year-old right fielder Smith. Smith relays the ball to Baker. Baker fires to Ellis. Ellis to Purdy. Purdy to Stearns. And Stearns can cut off mascot. Now that's
teamwork. Just one lesson kids learn through the Baseball Tomorrow Fund. A partnership between Major League Baseball and its players that connects kids with baseball and softball programs worldwide. To learn more, visit baseballtomorrowfund.com.
Saguaros leading it, and for more play-by-play, Jeff Mudd.
All right, Victor, the fourth inning now of the ball game with the Saguaros leading at 2-0 and Josh Willingham leading it off. Singled and scored his first time up. Right-handed batter out of the Florida Marlins organization. As Powell into his fourth inning of activity, winds in the 2-0 pitch on the way, and that's low. In the early stages of this ball game, the times that Powell has gotten into trouble have been when he has been up in the zone. And as evidenced by the number of ground ball outs, he's a lot safer when he keeps it down. A swing and a foul tip by Willingham, and the count 3-1 strike. 2 runs, 4 hits, 1 error for the Saguaros. No runs, 2 hits, 1 error for the Scorpions. A cloudy, hazy day in the Phoenix metro area, which, as we were talking about at the outset of the broadcast, seems to fit with the mood in this ballpark today for obvious reasons. Willingham batting .283 with 3 home runs and 10 runs batted in AFL competition. Climbs back in. Powell reads signs from Sardina, kicks and delivers the 3-1 pitch, and that's an off-speed delivery, line back up the middle, a base hit. So Josh Willingham is 2 for 2 with a pair of singles, and he leads off the fourth with a single here. And that'll bring up Chris Aguila. Aguila got a pitch up in the strike zone and promptly drove it into the gap in left center back in the second inning to drive in Willingham with the first run of the ball game. So he's up there 1 for 1 with a run scored. And as was the case in the second, he comes up here with a runner at first. Powell works out of the stretch, delivers, and a breaking ball is outside. We've made mention a couple of times about the high amount of media attention here today, and it's ironic, and we were talking about it with one of the writers who is based here locally, as the 1-0 pitch is in there for a strike. The only other time that the Arizona Fall League has really had to deal with an awful lot of local media attention was when Michael Jordan played in the league back in the mid-'90s. I think it was 1994, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds about right.
The 1-1 pitch is an off-speed delivery lifted into shallow left. Going out is Santos, coming in Smitherman. It's Smitherman for the catch. And Willingham will head back to first, 1 down. I'll tell you what, I was in the news media at the time, working at a radio station here when Jordan played in the Fall League. And you want to talk about a media circus. I mean, there have been big league games that didn't get the kind of media attention that his appearance in the Fall League. And he was an everyday player in the Fall League, so everywhere he went.
The only place he was an everyday player.
Yeah.
In baseball, anyways.
That's right. A breaking pitch to John Nott is taken outside, ball 1.
Sorry to cut off your...
No, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Now the set by Powell in the 1-0 is a fastball in there for a strike, and it's 1-1.
How many times has he retired from basketball?
3. I lose count, but I think it's 3. I think he shares that record with Magic Johnson.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
And somewhere somebody's keeping tabs on those things, too. Willingham a slight lead away from first, held on by Loney. Powell sets and delivers, a pitch swung on and fouled off to the right out of play. Well, and you give the guy high marks for giving the effort, but I think he learned a lesson that a lot of people have learned over the years, that it looks simple to play this game, but when you strap it on and put on that helmet and grab that bat, it's a whole other story. Here's the 1-2 pitch, and Nott looks at one low and outside on a breaking ball from Powell, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And I can only imagine how much more difficult it would be for someone like a Michael Jordan, just because of the mere fact that when you are the pinnacle as far as the measuring stick for any other basketball player to be born or come up through the ranks after Michael Jordan, and then go play baseball, where it's something that, yeah, okay, it's a passion, but when you're all you know yourself to do is to be the best, and then you have to kind of relearn things. It has to be one of the more difficult things imaginable.
Nott strikes out on a check swing third strike, so there are 2 down in the inning, and Justin Huber will be the batter. And it's a valid point, because you would say, well, if he can't make the adjustment, maybe that's a matter of ego, but I think you're absolutely right. When you get in a mindset that you are the best at what you do, and you expect to do things at a very high level, it's frustrating to have to go to something that you're not as good at. Huber lines one over the outstretched arm of Santos into left field for a base hit. Willingham will make it as far as second and hold there on a 2-out single by Justin Huber. The one thing, though, and I should mention this, that Michael Jordan was able to do, and I remember back to when the Fall League first got started here back in 1992-93, a lot of people didn't really understand the whole concept of the Fall League. Is Fermaniak is the batter with first and second and 2 out. And one thing that Jordan was able to do just by being here was focus a lot of attention in the Phoenix area on the Fall League as the pitch is outside. And I think the fans who have followed the Fall League over the years really got attuned to what this league really was all about. I remember I was working at ASU, and a friend of mine in the sports information office who played a lot of organized baseball and rec leagues thought it was just that, a rec league, and we had to explain to them, no, you're not going to go out there and try out. The pitch hits away from the catcher, Sardina, and the runners will advance to second and third. Willingham to third, Huber to second, respectively.
It should be a pass ball, too.
I would think so, because that wasn't too far out of the strike zone.
Well, we've talked about it at length. I talked about it last year, that the opportunity to come out and just hang out, even just for people in the Phoenix area, heck, even in Tucson, which is only an hour and a half drive, to see these guys. It's unbelievable the talent that is in this league.
A line shot to right and a stab out there by Kroger to make the catch. A nice play as Kroger drifted back toward the track, reached up and pulled it down. So the Peoria Saguaros are turned away in the fourth. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left, and at the end of 3.5, Saguaros 2, Scorpions nothing. And you're listening to Arizona Fall League Baseball live on MLB.com radio.
I'm Bob Costas. This year would have marked Lou Gehrig's 100th birthday. The legendary Iron Horse of baseball gave his heart and soul to America's favorite pastime, but he gave his life and name to the fatal disease, ALS, now best known as Lou Gehrig's disease. You can help strike out ALS. Call the ALS Association at 1-800-782-4747 or log on to alsa.org. Thanks.
Your grandparents came here.
The long drive, and it's a home run for Joe DiMaggio.
Your parents came here.
Here comes Roger Maris in to score, and Cepeda pulling to second with a double.
Now it's your turn.
Number 3,000 for one of the great players of all time, George Brett.
Cooperstown, New York. A tradition of excellence for 7 decades. Be a part of it. For information, call 1-888-HALL of Fame.
From the first pitch of spring training to the last pitch of the World Series, MLB.com radio brings unique and exclusive coverage of Major League Baseball. That continues during the winter months with Arizona Fall League action, hot stove reports, and baseball winter meetings. In November, check out live and exclusive play-by-play of Arizona Fall League action with the hottest prospects in baseball. December means baseball's winter meetings live from New Orleans as we bring you conversations with the managers and team officials from every ball club. Get the latest news with free agent signings and off-season moves on the Hot Stove shows. Get updates on winter leagues and the news from the minor leagues on the Baseball America Hour. Number one baseball source all year long. This is MLB.com radio.
Bottom of the fourth, 2-0 Peoria Saguaros over the Scottsdale Scorpions, along with Victor Rojas, Jeff Munn at Scottsdale Stadium. Josh Kroger will lead it off, and he swings and misses at the first pitch from Hendrickson, and the count no balls and 1 strike. Ben Hendrickson, couple of hits, couple of strikeouts, and that's all through the front 3 innings. Kroger reached base on an error by the first baseman Gonzalez back in the first inning. The wind in the 0-1 pitch, and that's lifted into left field, drifting back a few steps is Aguila, under it now, and makes the catch, 1 down.
A lot of stuff going on around Major League Baseball, even though we continuously focus here on the Arizona Fall League because of where we are, Jeff Mudd. But
that would be true.
The Baltimore Orioles have named their new skipper. Lee Mazzilli, the former coach of the New York Yankees, takes over for the fired Mike Hargrove.
Brennan King fouls one off to the right out of play. I just have to, no disrespect to Lee Mazzilli, but I'm really scratching my head, and have for some time, why the Orioles didn't just make quick work of naming Eddie Murray their manager. To me, that's the ultimate no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it before the game. Is just about, sometimes they say that the interviews don't really matter. Maybe it's the fact that Mazzilli came in and just wowed them. I mean, until you talk to somebody face-to-face and get their opinion on philosophies and stuff like that, you really have no idea, what type of person they are.
I think you're right in that respect as King swings and misses for the third strikeout for Hendrickson, 2 down in the inning. I mean, Lee Mazzilli was out there as a potential candidate going back to literally the day after the World Series ended a couple of weeks ago, but nobody, I think, really took it as a serious possibility. Sergio Santos, the batter, and he takes high. But all of a sudden, and it was literally as late as this morning when the word came out, it was going to be Mazzilli. And I think there's something to what you say about the interview might have just done the trick.
Yep.
A swing and a miss by Santos, and the count 1-1 strike.
Not only that, you have the Seattle Mariners naming Billy Bavasi as their general manager.
1-1 pitch is fouled back. Bavasi has had a number of stops in his big league career, the last one being he was working in the minor league operations with the Dodgers.
Yep. Same organization that his dad worked for, Buzzy Bavasi.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, personally speaking, one of the brightest minds in baseball. Just not because he signed to me when he was at the
Talking about Bill?
Yeah. But he's a good, solid dude who knows the minor league system and understands it.
A swing and a foul tip that is actually a drop third strike picked up by Huber, and the tag is placed on Santos. And very quickly and quietly, the Scorpions are gone in the fourth. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. Hendrickson picks up 2 strikeouts in the inning. And at the end of 4, Saguaros 2, Scorpions nothing. And you're listening to Arizona Fall League Baseball live and exclusive on MLB.com radio.
The Fantasy 411 is back for the 2003 offseason with Corey Schwartz and me, Mike Piano, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll give you the fantasy impact of all the offseason moves like free agent signing, trades, and even front office changes. Plus, we'll answer all your emails at radio@MLB.com. So don't get caught up in all the turkey and all that holiday shopping this offseason. Check us out on the Fantasy 411 every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on MLB.com radio.
Hey, baseball fans. Only MLB.com takes you straight from the ballpark to your computer. So don't miss a second of the action. Check out MLB.com, the only place for live baseball online. Get live games with MLB.tv and game day audio. See live stats with MLB.com's unique game day feature. For fans who just can't get enough of the game, MLB.com, the official site for all things baseball, the #1 site for Major League Baseball fans.
I was 0 for 11, and it was the year that we got Johnny Mize. He said, I'm going to fix my bat up for you. So I'm up there the first time using the bat and pitch it through and high and inside. I duck, I got the ball, hit the bat, line drive, base hit, and I got 199 after that.
Relive your fondest memories of Phil Rizzuto and see his Hall of Fame plaque at the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Visit us on the web at baseballhalloffame.org or call 888-HALL-OF-FAME.
What's the deal with Freddie Garcia? Mariner pitching coach Brian Price enlightens us.
What really happened with Freddie is his ball started to come up and straighten out up in the zone, and he was giving up a lot of extra base hits and home runs, throwing a lot of breaking balls to try to miss bats and things of that nature. We kind of shortened up his arm circle to get the ball down and added a slider and moved him over on the rubber. Probably the biggest thing is that he did for himself was just became more aggressive.
The hottest issues in the game. MLB.com radio.
5th inning, 2-0 Peoria. The Scorpions will make a pitching change and bring on right-hander Pete Sequeiros out of the Diamondbacks organization. And the Saguaros are going to counter with a pinch hitter, as the pitch to Drew Meyer of the Texas Rangers is on the outside corner for a strike. Meyer is batting in place of Krenzel as he hits a ground ball stabbed by the first baseman Loney, who underhands to Sequeiros, not in time. A nice play by Loney to go to his right to scoop up a hard hit ground ball, but his throw to Sequeiros covering, and Sequeiros was a little late in getting to the bag, just not in time. And Meyer is aboard with a pinch hit single to lead off the 5th.
Now Meyer can run a little bit. That's why he's a center fielder. I thought actually that the ball and Sequeiros had actually beaten Meyer, but first base umpire Chad Fairchild had other mind.
So a runner at first, nobody out, and Jake Gautreau, the batter, he's 0 for 2 and is grounded to first base twice, once with the pitcher covering, the other not. And he swings and misses at a pitch from Sequeiros in the count 0-1. Greg Powell goes 4 innings, gives up 2 runs on 6 hits, strikes out a man. And again, no walks. So now he's got 29 2/3 innings and 1 free pass. That's going to get somebody's attention in an office in Major League Baseball somewhere as Gautreau takes a pitch low and outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Sequeiros is making his 11th appearance of the Fall League schedule, a 1-0 record, an ERA of 10.8 in 8 1/3 innings of work. Now the set, and the right-hander with the 1-1, and that's on the outside corner for a strike, and it's 1-2. Saguaros pitched this summer at Class A Lancaster and went 3-1 and had 23 saves for the Jethawks. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Jake Gautreau, and that's grounded foul outside of third. Gautreau looked as if he got crossed up a bit and took a feeble swing at a pitch and was late. Well, among the other notes in baseball, and one that hits a little close to home, Mr. Rojas, George Steinbrenner has put yet another pitcher on his radar screen.
Yeah.
And it happens to be Curt Schilling of the Arizona Diamondbacks, and if you believe the newspaper stories, and why not, Steinbrenner has told his soldiers to go find what the Diamondbacks would want in return.
I still think that'd be a big surprise if a deal were to be worked out.
The runner goes, and off-speed pitch is outside. To throw to second is in time to get Meyer. Well, that's a nice play by Sardina to make the throw, because that's an off-speed pitch that obviously isn't getting up there quite as fast as a fastball would. And he's able to make the out 2-6.
And not only that, Santos hung in there near the bag waiting on the one-hop throw.
The count, 2-2, and Gautreau hits one, a chopper to the right side, charging in his Loney, underhands to Saguaros, and this time it's in time for the second out of the inning.
Well, the only reason I say, or question whether or not a deal would be done, is one, whether or not the Yankees would be willing to part with one of their top prospects, a guy that they feel is there going to be their everyday first baseman, that being Nick Johnson. That's the name that was mentioned. Of course, it wouldn't be a one-for-one deal. It'd have to be somebody else thrown in there, if not a couple of other somebodies thrown in there. That coupled with the fact you still got to deal with a Curt Schilling no-trade clause. And the third factor being, I thought there was still some bad blood brewing between the Yankees and the Diamondbacks with that whole David Wells situation.
Right to batter. He grounds one foul outside of first. Yeah, that's one thing I hadn't thought of, but you're right. That seems like such a long time ago,
yeah.
And yet that was literally something that was done right after the Diamondbacks haul in a World Series trophy. A line shot into left field is going to drop in for a base hit. And David Wright is aboard with his second single of the afternoon. A couple of things I think that need to be pointed out for those around the country who may not be aware of the whole story on Curt Schilling, as Adrian Gonzalez is the batter. One of his modern-day baseball heroes is Roger Clemens. He always tells a story about a little piece of advice he got from Roger very early on in his career that was something along the lines of straighten up and take the game seriously and you're going to be great. And obviously, Curt got the message. Saguaros delivers to Gonzalez low, and the count 1-0. The other thing, and I don't think this really factors in too seriously, but it's worthy of note, that Curt Schilling is also a great admirer of the Yankee legend Lou Gehrig. So you would think there would be some things that might be enticing to Schilling about going to New York. The pitch to Gonzalez low, and the count 2-0. Gonzalez 0 for 2 is grounded to second and grounded to first.
It would be interesting, everyone continues to speculate, of course, in the Philadelphia Phillies, the brand new ballpark, the Phillies needing and wanting to do something big in the free agent market because they will most likely lose Kevin Millwood as far as the bidding is concerned. Millwood, whether he goes with the Atlanta Braves or you hear rumors that the Mets and Tom Glavine are courting him up there, but they made the move for Billy Wagner to shore up the back end of the bullpen. They still need one or two guys in that rotation and in the bullpen if they're going to compete in the National League East.
Gonzalez takes a 3-0 pitch low, and he's aboard with a 2-out walk. Boy, I tell you, when I heard about that trade the other day, the first thing I thought of, and there was no way it was going to happen during the season because Houston obviously was in the pennant race right to the last weekend. But I'm sure there was more than one Philly fan who said, if we could have gotten Billy Wagner around the middle of August or before the trade deadline. Because down the stretch, that bullpen situation for the Phillies really proved to be their ultimate undoing.
Yep.
Josh Willingham's the batter, and he takes a breaking ball in the outside corner for a strike. Willingham is 2 for 2 with a pair of singles and a run scored. First and second, 2 out. Top of the fifth, 2-0, Saguaros over the Scorpions. Saguaros ready, and the 0-1 pitch is low. I mean, you think about that offense, if it comes anywhere close to doing what it did last year or this past season, then you throw Wagner into that mix. And, of course, you also have to take into account the fact that, indeed, there's every likelihood that Kevin Millwood will not be part of that rotation next year. But still, if you're just putting it together in your mind, that's pretty awesome. Swing and a foul back to the screen, and the count to Willingham, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
It's going to be an interesting off season, that's for sure, as far as the hot stove is concerned. And you'll start hearing a lot more rumors next week, and we will hear some rumors next week as the general managers meeting convene here in Phoenix. And that, of course, that leads into baseball's winter meetings in Nolens.
Not a bad place to go in December.
Middle part of December.
Now the 1-2 pitch, and Willingham looks at a pitch low and outside. One other thing about Schilling is it is related to, you were mentioning the possibility that Philadelphia would want to take a run at getting Schilling. When the Diamondbacks were in Philadelphia in early May, he started a ball game at Veterans Stadium, the middle game of a 3-game set. The 2-2 pitch to Willingham is a breaking pitch low and outside. There had been some rumors, even at that point, that Schilling was asking for a trade back to Philadelphia, and when the Diamondbacks arrived there, I think it was a Tuesday night, he was not pitching, he was going to pitch the next night. The media contingent that turned out to get interviews with Schilling was huge. And it was the same night that the 76ers were playing a playoff game next door. And it gave you a pretty good indication of how big a guy, in terms of the media, Curt Schilling still is in Philadelphia.
Sure.
So when you say the Phillies are looking to make a splash, they couldn't make one bigger than to find some way to get Schilling back in a Philly uniform.
And have him pitching opening day at Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah, I think that's what they're calling it.
That's not a tongue twister.
The 3-2 pitch with the runners going is low and in, and Willingham is aboard with a 2-out walk, and the bases are loaded for Chris Aguila, and Pete Saguaros has run into some trouble here with a pair of walks and a single.
That's the second time I've seen him down here. Really hasn't shown me much as far as his ability to throw strikes, getting ahead and staying ahead. Had a nice season at A-ball, California League at Lancaster, 23 saves that he had, but this is a little bit different animal here when you have guys that are high A-ball, double-A prospects on the cusp of the big leagues. Saguaros is kind of a three-quarter arm slinger there. He's got good movement, good tailing movement on his fastball, but just unable to get ahead and stay ahead.
He had 2 out in the inning. After the pinch hitter Myers singled, he was thrown out attempting to steal. Then Gautreau grounded to first. With a single to right, a walk to Gonzalez, and a walk to Willingham have loaded things up for Chris Aguila, who doubled and scored in the second, drove in a run, and then flied to left in the fourth. Saguaros will work out of the stretch with the bases loaded, and the pitch to Aguila's grounded foul outside of third. Now, having said all that about Curt Schilling, as you said, the one hang-up is he does have a no-trade clause. So he's not going anywhere unless he knows about it first.
Yeah. And I think those days are long gone as far as guys negotiate. I mean, you look at the long list of players in Major League Baseball with either full no-trade clauses or partial no-trade clauses. It's ridiculous.
Pitch inside, and the count to Aguila, 1 ball and 1 strike.
It almost seems like every deal signed after 99 or 2000 or thereabouts has some sort of no-trade clause factored into it.
Now the set in the 1-1 pitch, and that's swung on and missed. On a dandy breaking pitch from Saguaros, and the count 1-2.
I mean, if you're an organization, why would you ever hamstring yourself with a marginal player by providing them a no-trade clause exemption or a partial no-trade clause in the contract?
Yeah, I don't have a problem for it for the frontline players, and I understand why. The 1-2 is swung on and missed, and Saguaros gets out of the inning, leaves the bases loaded, and the Saguaros are turned away in the fifth. No runs on 2 hits, no errors, but they leave 3. And at the end of 4 1/2, Saguaros 2, Scorpions nothing. And you're listening to Arizona Fall League Baseball, live and exclusively on MLB.com radio.
Right now, fall is in full color at Kohl's. Kohl's has all the brands your family loves, like Nike, Levi's, Dockers, Mudd, Lee, Oshkosh, and many more. Every size, every color, fully stocked. And with Kohl's great sale prices, you can bundle up without spending a bundle. Plus, you'll enjoy Kohl's hassle-free returns, stroller carts, easy checkouts, and storefront parking. So come on in and see what's new for fall at Kohl's. Kohl's. Shop happy, leave happy.
Hey, Cardinals fans, STLCardinals.com is the official website for Cardinals information. Don't miss a second of the action. STLCardinals.com is the only place for live baseball action on the net with game day audio. Watch video highlights of every game with postgame.tv. Heading to the ballpark? Buy tickets to any game and buy the latest Cardinal gear online at the shop. For diehard Cards fans like you, STLCardinals.com, the #1 site for Cardinals fans.
Being inducted into the Hall of Fame is the ultimate after you had a successful major league career. Of course, I took 4 years out for World War II. I joined the Navy 2 days after Pearl Harbor, and I'm very proud to be an American and hope I've been a good one.
Relive your fondest memories of Bob Feller and see his Hall of Fame plaque at the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. For more information, visit us on the web at baseballhalloffame.org or call 888-HALL-OF-FAME.
Bases are loaded. There's the hot count to 11-year-old right fielder Smith. Smith relays the ball to Baker. Baker fires to Ellis. Ellis to Purdy. Purdy to Stearns. And Stearns can cut off mascot. Now that's
Teamwork. Just one lesson kids learn through the Baseball Tomorrow Fund. A partnership between Major League Baseball and its players that connects kids with baseball and softball programs worldwide. To learn more, visit baseballtomorrowfund.com.
Bottom of the 5th, 2-0 Saguaros over the Scorpions. Chris Snyder leads things off along with Victor Rojas, Jeff Mudd at Scottsdale Stadium. And a new pitcher for the Saguaros as a pitch is line foul down the left field line by Snyder. Right-hander Justin Eccles comes out of the bullpen to take over for Ben Hendrickson, who had a very nice outing. Went 4 innings, struck out 4, gave up 2 hits, and just like Powell, didn't get in too much trouble with the base on balls. Didn't allow a walk.
Nope, not at all. Eccles 0-2 and a 7.65 ERA in 6 games, 20 innings, 28 hits. He struck out 15, walked 13. That's not a good ratio.
You know, the thing is, both of these guys today, Powell and Hendrickson, as a pitch is low and away, and it gets all the way back to the backstop, and the count to Snyder, 2 balls and 2 strikes. I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer. You get 2 guys with ERAs under 3. They don't walk a lot of guys. Didn't walk any today. They're going to be on some GM's radar screens here over the next couple of weeks as a breaking pitch is low and outside. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Chris Snyder.
No, that and you got to deal with the fact, of course, that, you know, with so many guys having to be put on the 40-man roster, that's why a lot of these general managers are putting some of these kids down here in the Arizona Fall League to see where they're at, evaluate their abilities, and whether or not they belong in the 40-man roster. Otherwise, they become available in the Rule 5 draft that happens in December during the winter meetings.
Dane Sardina, the batter, as a walk is issued to Chris Snyder. And so Eccles does in 1 batter what Hendrickson didn't do in 4 innings. Sardina grounded to short his first time up, and he takes a pitch high and outside. I would suspect that next week you're going to hear a lot of chatter, but it would be hard to imagine that any hard deals would get done, maybe a minor league swap or 2, but I think these general manager meetings are more to talk about things as a pitch is swung on and a high fly ball to deep left. Back goes the left fielder, Aguila. It is way gone. A 2-run homer for Dane Sardina. And this ball game is even up at 2.
Well, that's what happens when you fall behind. You can't throw strikes. You've got to come in there, and as a hitter, you're looking for 1 pitch in 1 zone. And Sardina got the fastball on the inside part of the plate. Took advantage. He hit the long ball to tie this game up.
Third home run of the Fall League season for Sardina. RBIs number 8 and 9. And just like that, we're tied at 2 in the 5th. And the batter will be Nick Gornol, who struck out his first time up. Eccles delivers a pitch outside. Eccles looks an awful lot like Hendrickson. Big, tall, lanky right-hander. There's a little looper towards short. The shortstop for Maniac takes it on a hop, throws low, and it gets away from the first baseman Gonzalez. Gornol will go to second and will hold there, and he will be aboard on an error that will in all likelihood be charged to Maniac.
That's a high chopper that he had to sit back on, and once he caught it, had to realize the fact that he had to hurry the throw, couldn't get enough on it to reach Gonzalez at first base. One hopped him, and Gonzalez couldn't come up with it, and that's why you have Gornol at second base, still nobody out.
So now Scott Hairston, the batter. Second error committed by the Saguaros this afternoon. And Hairston up there, 1 for 2, grounded to first, and singled. And he swings and fouls one back to the screen. Justin Eccles, 6'3", 185 pounds, an 11th round pick of the Rangers out of Greenway High School here in Phoenix. Split time this past season between Class A Stockton and Double A Frisco, the Texas League. Now the 0-1 pitch, and Hairston lines one past the diving third baseman right and down the left field line. Here comes Gornol around third. He'll score. Hairston on his way to second, and he's in there safely with an RBI double. And the Scorpions have taken a 3-2 lead here in the 5th.
That ball just smoked just past the reach of a diving David Wright at third base. And a nice play, to be perfectly honest with Aguila in left field, cutting that ball off and making a strong throw to second. That just shows you the speed of Hairston, able to get in there.
So Hairston picks up his 12th run batted in of the Fall League campaign. Moves that batting average ever upward. He started the day at 360, and James Loney will be the batter with Hairston at second and nobody out. And 3 runs already having come to the plate here in the Scorpion 5th inning. Eccles works out of a stretch, delivers a pitch low. We're looking at Eccles in 2003 playing at Frisco. If I'm not mistaken, that's the club in the Texas League that is called the Rough Riders.
Correct.
The 1-0 pitch, and that's low. Off-speed delivery from Justin Eccles. They got some great names in the Texas League.
Yeah, they do.
Frisco Rough Riders. There's another one, Round Rock Express. 2-0 pitch is in the dirt.
Diablos.
El Paso Diablos. Talk about your minor leagues. They have a whole lot of history behind them. The Texas League is right up there. Loney takes an off-speed pitch in there for a strike, and it's 3-1. Three balls and a strike. Hairston at second, nobody out, and 3 runs in the Scorpion 5th inning, and they've taken a 3-2 lead as a result. Now Eccles is ready, and his 3-1 pitch is in there at the knees for a strike, and it's full. At least San Antonio still has a club in the Texas League. The Missions, the San Antonio Missions. They were a Dodger club for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And now I think they're hooked up with the Mariners. There's a ground ball to the right side, scooped up by Gonzalez. He'll flip to Eccles covering for the first out of the inning. And on the play, Scott Hairston takes third. So a hard smash to the right side moves the runner over. Steven Smitherman, the batter. He's 1 for 2. I was involved in working for the Phoenix Club in the Coast League at a time when the Coast League had some of the great travel stops you could ever hope for. They still had a team in Hawaii, so you were guaranteed 8 games there. They had 3
Pirates,
teams.
right?
Yeah, the Islanders. Barry Bonds played there.
Yep.
Had 3 teams in Canada, so you knew you could get out of the desert heat for about a month.
What, Calgary, Vancouver, Edmonton?
Right. Although I think Vancouver's gone. I think Calgary's gone. I think Edmonton's the only Canadian club left.
I think Calgary's still there.
Are they still there? Yeah. The count is Smither and no balls and a strike. Now a fastball is looped into left field, and that's going to drop in front of Aguila for a base hit. Hairston scores. Smitherman an RBI single, and the Scorpions take a 4-2 lead. So Smitherman 2 for 3, picks up his 19th run batted in.
I think one of those two clubs, I forget which one it is, whether it's Edmonton or Vancouver, I think it was just sold to Nolan Ryan with the idea of moving it to Texas and in Round Rock and making that the AAA franchise.
Oh. Josh Kroger, the batter. Well, with all those places, as Kroger hits a smash down the right field line that's going to drop in for a base hit. Smitherman on his way for third. He'll make it easily as Kroger has a single, and the Scorpions are just knocking the hide off the ball right now on Justin Eccles.
He's got nothing on his fastball. He's not hitting his spots either, so he's falling behind early. Nobody warming up either for Frank Kremblis's Peoria ball club, so it's going to be Eccles right now trying to get out of it.
Well, Saguaros went through the same thing in the top of the fifth, had the bases loaded, and managed to get out of it.
It was Edmonton that was purchased by
the
the
Edmonton Trappers.
Yep.
Brennan King, the batter. He's 0 for 2. First and third, 1 out, and the breaking ball is a check swing strike.
And then the idea is to move the Round Rock Club, the AA franchise, to Corpus Christi.
Oh, okay.
Which is a good town. Never been there. Spent some time there. Texas Louisiana League.
Nice place?
Yeah, I like Corpus Christi. Out on the water.
Breaking pitch is low and outside. Now, that's near Houston, right?
South of Houston.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, you talk about, you throw in all those things I just mentioned in the Coast League. Hawaii, Canada. Then just to make it a little more enticing, 8 games in Las Vegas.
Not too shabby.
Very few bad road trips. And then there were some other places, nice cool weather cities, Portland and Tacoma. I remember our broadcasters with the Phoenix Firebirds never complained a whole lot when they had to go on the road.
What was the Portland franchise? It's the Padres now.
At the time, it was the Phillies. The 1-1 pitch is a pitch out and nothing doing. Now, we're talking the mid-'80s.
Right.
Portland dropped out of the Coast League for a long time. And then came back into business just a couple of years ago.
And Tacoma, of course, Seattle Mariners.
Now the 2-1 pitch. And King looks at a pitch inside, 3 balls and a strike. The Coast League always had the most interesting little scheduling. They would always put the Phoenix Club in Edmonton in the middle of April. First road trip of the year was always to Canada, and they could never get a game in because it was still snowing.
Nice.
They'd open the season here, maybe 4 games or 8 games, and they would immediately go on the road, and you would make sense if you were going to Tucson or Albuquerque, but they would always end up in Canada and would never get a game in. There's a hard smash in the left that's going to drop in for a base hit. Smitherman will score. Kroger was off on the pitch, but he only gets as far as second on an RBI single by King, and it is 5-2 Scottsdale.
Now Peoria better get somebody up down in that bullpen. There's going to be a visit now by Blaine Beatty of the Mets organization, the pitching coach here for the Saguaros. Justin Eccles has come in. We mentioned he's got an ERA of 7.5, over 7.5. He's allowed all 5 runs in this inning. With a walk, there was an error defensively, 5 hits. And this is all after Ben Hendrickson is just cruising along.
4 innings, 2 hits, 2 strikeouts, and no walks. And Justin Eccles is wandering all over the road now here in the 5th inning. So the meeting is done. Sergio Santos, the 9th man to face Eccles here in the 5th inning. And Santos is 0 for 2, grounded to third and struck out. Five 5-2 Scorpions, bottom of the 5th. First and second, 1 out. Eccles out of a stretch, delivers, and a pitch is low. So the Orioles fill their managerial vacancy today. That leaves Boston, and I guess technically it leaves Cincinnati. We were talking about this last week. as a pitch is outside to Santos, 2 balls and no strikes. Dave Miley is still technically the interim manager.
Yep.
And now that they finally have a GM in place, I would assume that in the next few days they might settle that situation. Santos takes outside and they count 3 balls and no strikes, and finally we're starting to see some activity in the Saguaro bullpen.
It's awfully slow activity, though. Nobody's throwing yet.
The 3-0 pitch is high, and Santos is aboard. And you're right, he is not even catching any corner anywhere right now.
Well, now you'll see some action in the bullpen finally, but to be perfectly honest with you, that's something we've talked about as far as the pitching is concerned in the Arizona Fall League. Just been really, to sum it up, just atrocious, really. Some of the things that I have seen down here. You got 2 teams with ERAs under 4. Mesa Desert Dogs 4.50, Scorpions at 4.92. Everyone else is 5 and up. Solar Sox 5.15, Javelinas 5.22. This Peoria Saguaros team a 5.26 ERA, and the Grand Canyon Raptors at 5.53.
It looks as if the starting pitching across the board isn't too bad, but once they get into the bullpens, it's a different story. Chris Snyder takes a pitch high, 2 balls and no strikes. We saw a case last week where Charlie Zink went 4 innings and was very effective, but once he turned it over to the bullpen, it started to get a little shaky. There's a hard smash foul down the left field line off the bat of Chris Snyder, and the count 2 balls and a strike. We mentioned this last week. There are cases where you want to see if a pitcher can work his way out of trouble spots, but I think it's fairly obvious at this point what the judgment on Justin Eccles is, at least today, because he's been in a trouble spot for about the last 10 minutes. A fastball is at the knees for a strike, and it's 2-2. The Red Sox, as we mentioned, with the only real clear managerial vacancy at the moment, and they're interviewing candidates. The 2-2 pitch is a breaking ball on the corner, strike 3 called. Chris Snyder not real happy with a call from plate umpire Casey Moser, but that caught the outside corner. And a big strikeout for Justin Eccles, his first of the afternoon.
Well, Snyder needs to be swinging the bat there with 2 strikes. Bases juice. All you're looking for is a little sac fly. Just got buckled up on the breaking pitch. It did catch a corner.
Now Dane Sardina, the batter. Sardina with a 2-run homer that did not leave much in the way of doubt into the berm and beyond left field as he takes a pitch for a ball, and the count 1 ball and no strikes. As Victor mentioned, it takes a pretty serious poke to get a ball out of here no matter where you hit it. The 1-0 is a fastball low. 360 down the lines, 430 to straightaway center, and a batter's eye, and I don't see a yellow line, so I'm not sure what the ground rule is on the batter's eye.
Got to go over.
The 2-0 is a ground ball to the left side, scooped up by Fermaniak. He throws to second for the force, and that'll do it for the Scorpions in the 5th. But they plate 5 runs, and they do it on 5 hits, 1 error, and they leave 3. And we have played 5 innings here at Scottsdale Stadium with the Scottsdale Scorpions leading the Peoria Saguaros 5-2, and you're listening to Arizona Fall League Baseball live and exclusively on MLB.com radio.
This is Andy Pettit of the New York Yankees. It's never easy to stand your ground when facing the best hitters in the game, but with practice, you gain confidence. To teach values that go beyond the diamond, Major League Baseball charities and Boys and Girls Clubs of America have teamed up to bring baseball and softball to kids around the world. Through programs like RBI and Rookie League, boys and girls learn about teamwork, fair play, and respect. Because when kids believe in themselves, amazing things can happen.
Got the perfect gift for the baseball fan in your life at MLB Shop on MLB.com. You can purchase jackets, jerseys, caps, and clothes for men, women, and children. Get a snappy new batting practice jersey or a classic replica jersey of your favorite team. You can even customize your jersey. Best of all, it can all be done online. Plus, the MLB Shop has baseball cards, bobblehead dolls, books, videos, and so much more. All purchases are private and secure, and the MLB Shop accepts all major credit cards. Click on the MLB Shop button at the top right of MLB.com and get that perfect gift today.
Raven, we've got bandits at 1 o'clock.
Lights on.
Engaging now.
What kind of person can handle an F-16 dueling in a Mach-speed dogfight? Why, a math teacher, of course, when she's in the National Guard and Reserve. Nearly half of today's military are members of the Guard and Reserve, but they can't do it without their employer's support. If you're an employer, visit www.esgr.org and learn how to do your part. After all, their response depends on yours. A public service message from ESGR and the Ad Council.
Bottom of the third. Actually, we're through 5 innings here at Scottsdale, and the Scorpions holding a 5-2 lead on the Peoria Saguaros, and the Scorpions will go to the bullpen and bring on Dodger right-hander T.J. Null. Null started a ball game here last Friday and got roughed up pretty hard by the Mesa Desert Dogs. Went just a third of an inning and was responsible for allowing 7 runs, 3 of them earned. But he comes on here with a 3-run lead, and he will face John Knott to be followed by Justin Huber and J.J. Fermaniak. Null winds, and the first pitch is in there for a strike. For Null, it is his 8th appearance of the year, his 7th in relief, a 1-1 record and an ERA of 6.94. And he throws a strike to Knott around the letters in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Null pitched this year for Class A Vero Beach, went 6-7 with a 3.42 earned run average, picked up a save. The 0-2 delivery is a breaking ball on the outside corner, strike 3, and what a pretty pitch that was.
Just like Snyder got locked up, Knott did the same thing here to lead off the 6th inning. A little slow breaking ball. Looked like as a hitter, from a right-handed standpoint, facing the right-hander, looks like it's going to tail outside and miss the play, but it just caught enough of the corner.
So 1 down, and Justin Huber, the batter, he has a pair of singles on the afternoon. Huber out of the Mets organization, doing the catching this afternoon. Pete Takaris, by the way, went an inning, gave up 2 hits, walked 2, picked up a strikeout, and fortunately for him, did not give up a run. Huber lines one foul outside of third down the left field line. We're coming down the stretch in Arizona Fall League Baseball for 2003. Championship game will be a week from tomorrow. The 0-1 pitch, and Huber checks the swing, takes a strike on the outside corner. Another big breaking ball from T.J. Null. Bases empty, 1 out, 5-2 Scorpions, top of the 6th. Already in the 0-2 pitch is swung on and popped up down the left field line. Moving out is the shortstop Santos, and he will give way to Smitherin, who dives and can't come up with it. A throw to second is not in time on Huber. That was just hit in a place where neither Smitherin or Santos could get to it in time.
I think that's a ball that's easier played by the shortstop Santos, and I think he had every intention of catching that ball until being called off at the last minute by Smitherman, who had to slide in. I think if Santos remains on track, I think he makes that catch on the run.
You could see at the last second, Santos just gave way to Smitherman. And he started that slide a little late, too. So Justin Huber with 3 hits on the afternoon, a pair of singles and a double here in the 6th. And J.J. Fermaniak will be the batter. Right-handed batter facing the right-handed pitching Null, who delivers low. Now, you look at a guy like this. Here's a guy by the name of Fermaniak.
Think he got kidded a lot as a kid?
Slightly. Ever so slightly, I would think. Null delivers 1-0, and there's a swing and a miss on a breaking pitch. And they count 1 ball and 1 strike. And just in case you're wondering, and I think we did mention this earlier, the Padre players are still wearing the old style Padre road uniforms. 1-1 pitch is outside and gets away from the catcher Sardina, and on the play, Huber will make it over to third.
second pass ball for Sardina today. This is after I went on a limb and said he was a good defensive catcher. You know what? I might retract that.
I'm glad to see I'm not the only one that jinxes people around here.
I don't know, man. You're pretty good for long ball games.
All the stories I could tell. The 2-1 pitch is a breaking ball low. First game I ever did on radio went 18 innings. People should have known right then and there. Yeah. 3-1 pitch is a fastball low, and Fermaniac is aboard on a 2-out walk from T.J. Knoll, and now here comes Drew Meyer, who stayed in the ballgame in center field after pinch hitting for Krenzel back in the 5th inning, and he represents the tying run. Meyer, a left-handed batter. As we said, he singled and was thrown out attempting to steal back in the 5th inning. Knoll out of a stretch, and his pitch is grounded back up the middle, but Santos is there to flip to second for one, on to first. A nice, quick 6-4 3-double play to close out the Saguaros in the 6th inning. So no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left. And at the end of 5 1/2, Scorpions 5, Saguaros 2, and you're listening to Arizona Fall League Baseball, live and exclusively on MLB.com radio.
I'm Bob Costas. This year would have marked Lou Gehrig's 100th birthday. The legendary Iron Horse of Baseball gave his heart and soul to America's favorite pastime, but he gave his life and name to the fatal disease, ALS, now best known as Lou Gehrig's disease. You can help strike out ALS. Call the ALS Association at 1-800-782-4747 or log on to alsa.org. Thanks.
Your grandparents came here.
The long drive, and it's a home run for Joe DiMaggio.
Your parents came here.
Here comes Roger Maris in to score, and Cepeda pulling the second with a double.
Now it's your turn.
Number 3,000 for one of the great players of all time, George Brett.
Cooperstown, New York. A tradition of excellence for 7 decades. Be a part of it. For information, call 1-888-Hall of Fame.
From the first pitch of spring training to the last pitch of the World Series, MLB.com radio brings unique and exclusive coverage of Major League Baseball. That continues during the winter months with Arizona Fall League action, hot stove reports, and baseball winter meetings. In November, check out live and exclusive play-by-play of Arizona Fall League action with the hottest prospects in baseball. December means baseball's winter meetings live from New Orleans as we bring you conversations with the managers and team officials from every ball club. Get the latest news with free agent signings and off-season moves on the Hot Stove Shows. Get updates on winter leagues and the news from the minor leagues on the Baseball America Hour. Your #1 baseball source all year long. This is MLB.com radio. Bottom of the 6th, 5-2 Scorpions. Along with Victor Rojas, Jeff Munn at Scottsdale Stadium. Arizona Fall League action on a cloudy afternoon in the Phoenix area. Nick Gornall will lead it off, and the first pitch is swung on and popped up right around the mound. Eccles comes off the mound and now will give way to the third baseman Wright, who makes the catch. 1 pitch, 1 out in the 6th inning. Scorpions got a 5-run 5th to take the lead after they were mesmerized by Ben Hendrickson over the first 4 innings. So 1 down, and Scott Hairston, who is 2 for 3, a single, a double, and a run scored on the afternoon. And he's up there now with the bases empty and 1 out. Justin Eccles, in his 2nd inning of work, delivers, and a fastball is lined through into left field for a base hit. Boy, Scott Hairston isn't doing anything to hurt his standing with the Diamondbacks brass today. He's 3 for 4. He's got a nice, quick stroke, very powerful. He has tagged every ball that he's hit today. And he's up there now at first with 1 out, and James Loney, the batter. Loney is 0 for 3, a pair of ground balls to first and a strikeout. Left-handed batter facing the right-handed pitching Justin Eccles, who delivers a fastball at the knees for a strike.
Ben Hendrickson went the first 4 innings. Eccles is working on his second inning of work. Was responsible for giving up the 5 runs for the Scorpions in the 5th inning. An off-speed pitch is grounded to first, scooped up by Gonzalez. Throws to the shortstop for the force at second. Back to Eccles, covering it first for the double play. How about that? A 3-6-3 twin killing. And just like that, the Scorpions are gone in the 6th. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, nobody left. And at the end of 6, Scorpions 5, Saguaros 2. And you're listening to Arizona Fall League Baseball live and exclusively on MLB.com radio.
I'm Bob Costas. This year would have marked Lou Gehrig's 100th birthday. The legendary Iron Horse of Baseball gave his heart and soul to America's favorite pastime, but he gave his life and name to the fatal disease, ALS, now best known as Lou Gehrig's disease. You can help strike out ALS. Call the ALS Association at 1-800-782-4747 or log on to alsa.org. Thanks.
Your grandparents came here.
The long drive, and it's a home run for Joe DiMaggio.
Your parents came here.
Here comes Roger Maris in the score, and Cepeda pulling the second with a double.
Now it's your turn.
Number 3,000 for one of the great players of all time, George Brett.
Cooperstown, New York. A tradition of excellence for 7 decades. Be a part of it. For information, call 1-888-Hall of Fame.
From the first pitch of spring training to the last pitch of the World Series, MLB.com radio brings unique and exclusive coverage of Major League Baseball. That continues during the winter months with Arizona Fall League action, hot stove reports, and baseball winter meetings. In November, check out live and exclusive play-by-play of Arizona Fall League action with the hottest prospects in baseball. December means baseball's winter meetings live from New Orleans as we bring you conversations with the managers and team officials from every ball club. Get the latest news with free agent signings and off-season moves on the Hot Stove Show. Get updates on winter leagues and the news from the minor leagues on the Baseball America Hour. Your #1 baseball source all year long. This is MLB.com radio.
Through 6 innings, 5-2 Scorpions. We move to the 7th, and once again for more play-by-play, here's Victor Rojas.
Thanks, Mr. Munn, as we have a new pitcher of record for the Scottsdale Scorpions, something that happens very frequently if you follow the Scottsdale Scorpions. Left-hander from the Reds organization, Ryan Shackelford, comes in relief of T.J. Null. Did a nice job, won an inning, gave up a hit, walked one. The rest, goose eggs. But as far as Shackelford is concerned, 1-0 and a 3.0 earned run average. 9 games so far for the left-handers. He concludes his warm-up tosses here, and he'll be facing 2, 3, and 4. Gautreau, Wright, and Gonzalez for the visiting Peoria Saguaros. Top of the 7th, as Mr. Munn mentioned, 5-2 lead for the Scorpions. Scorpions pushing across 5 runs, sending up 11 batters, getting 5 hits in their 5th inning. Gautreau from the Padres organization will step up. He is 0 for 3, and all 3 times he has rolled out to the first baseman. First pitch from Shackelford, fastball away for ball 1. Pitch low, down and away from the left-hand hitting Gautreau, ball 2. Shackelford, as I mentioned, out of the Cincinnati Reds organization. 6'1", 190-pounder, played at Double-A Chattanooga this past season. The 2-0, swing and a miss. Good fastball, tied up Gautreau a little bit on the inside part of the plate, 2-1.
Lives in Norman, Oklahoma. Gee, I wonder what he'll be doing when he goes home.
No doubt.
Watch a little football.
He is a Sunabuma, a converted outfielder. Pitch bounced down low, 3 balls and a strike. Spent the first 5 years of his minor league career as an outfielder. A 241 average, 57 home runs, so he's got some pop. But the Reds like him as a pitcher. Originally selected by the Royals. There's a chopper towards that first base dugout. And the Count has run full to 3-2.
You know, you hear a lot of stories about that, about outfielders who are converted to pitchers. Let me ask you from your experience, what is it that scouts or executives see in a guy that, there's something that tips them off that say, hey, this guy may be pretty good on the mound?
Well, as I said, most of the times you'll see guys struggle offensively and guys with good arms. If their breaking pitch missed inside, go through a walk, so lead off the top of the 7th inning. So as Trevor Hoffman will tell you, former shortstop, University of Arizona product, just wasn't hitting in the minor leagues. And, you know, shortstops, catchers, right fielders all have good arms. Otherwise, they wouldn't be playing those positions. And so when one thing goes, if the offense isn't there at the professional level, if a player is willing to make a change, more times than not, they will be given the opportunity to go ahead and pitch and see what they can do, especially from a left-hander in this standpoint, Shackelford.
Yeah, if you're a left-hander and you've got anything going for you, you know you got a chance.
Exactly. Oh, 1 pitch on the way to right, missing inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Right for the Mets, 2 for 3, 2 singles and a flyout. We were talking about Lee Mazzilli becoming the new managers. That pitch almost hit right. In off the plate, 2 balls and a strike. They just held the press conference back in Baltimore. And after the 3rd out is recorded here, we'll throw to a cut from that press conference. The wonders of MLB.com. I tell you what.
Modern technology.
That Danny Gentili back at the studios is one short but very bright man.
On top of his game.
No question.
He's got clip already.
2 balls and 2 strikes now. That fastball caught the outside part of the plate. Nobody out here in the 7th. A man on for Peoria. 2-2 pitch on the way. Swing and chop foul behind the plate.
Yeah, I would agree. He seems like a pretty sharp guy.
He is. Doesn't know how to spell "where the darn."
It's radio.
Don't worry about that coupled with the fact that Danny's getting married next year, early part of next
then
year.
He's awfully confused then.
So he's done. He's toast. 2-2 on the way. Breaking ball popped up shallow right. Kroger, the right fielder, coming in a couple of steps, and he'll make the catch for the first out.
Danny needs a little life lessons. I was in a situation the other day where somebody called me and asked me if I was available to do something, and I didn't know because of my wife's schedule, and I just mentioned to this gentleman that called, I said, you know, life was a lot easier when I didn't have to hold committee meetings to find out what my schedule was. But nevertheless, good luck to Danny. 1 down, and Gonzalez is the batter. 0 for 2 with a walk. Shackelford delivers a pitch inside. 1 ball and no strikes. Shackelford, 6'1", 190 pounds. And he delivers a pitch low.
You're done stroking Danny?
Yeah, pretty much. I just said, you know, just remember, when you get married, you can't just make decisions independently. You have to hold a committee meeting and take votes.
Danny doesn't care.
Oh, well, then in that case, good luck.
He could care less.
There's a pitch low, 3 balls and no strikes.
He's a guy that will just take charge regardless of the situation, make the decision. And he wears the skirt in the family.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Oh, my. So his future bride's tuned in today, I take it.
Yep.
3-0 pitch is high and inside, and Gonzalez is aboard with a 1-out walk.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's 5 walks in the last 2 1/3 innings for Scottsdale. And what do you know? We got a visiting to the mound by Mike Butcher, the pitching coach for the Scorpions. And for those of you that aren't aware of the fact that Scottsdale Scorpions like to run out a lot of pitchers, like to run the matchups. So Scorpions playing everything, of course, as it were the last game of the World Series with 2 outs, bases loaded, winning run at bat.
And they're 3 out of the lead.
Yep.
Or I should say 5 out in the American division.
They are. But they lead it here today by 3. First and second base, 1 out. Josh Willingham, the batter. Willingham out of the Florida Marlins organization, 2 for 2. 2 singles, a run scored, and he's also walked. And as Danny Gentili, our producer, says, his fiance is at home cleaning the house for when he gets home.
Oh, my. So she's not tuned in today.
No, she's not. She's busy. She probably has a big surprise for dinner, too. Probably Kentucky Fried Chicken. Finger licking good.
Very high in carbs and protein, too.
No question. 0-1, there's a hot smash into left field, base hit. Being held up at third base will be Gautreaux. So the Saguaros will have the bases loaded, 1 out for Chris Aguila. That's the 3rd hit of the ball game for Josh Willingham. And for Peoria, their 10th hit overall. And right on cue, Rick Burleson will make his way out to the mound and make a pitching change here. So Shackelford goes just the 3rd of an inning. He is the 4th pitcher of record for a team that is winning this ball game. It looks like it's going to be a Diamondbacks farmhand, so we'll pause right here. We'll go to a break. 5-2, Scorpions lead it. We're in the top of the 7th inning, 1 out, bases loaded. As you're listening to Arizona Fall League action live and exclusively on MLB.com radio.
Hey, fantasy baseball freaks and geeks, the Fantasy 411 is back for the 2003 offseason with Corey Schwartz and me, Mike Ciano, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll give you the fantasy impact of all the offseason moves like free agent signings, trades, and even front office changes. Plus, we'll answer all your emails at radio@MLB.com. So don't get caught up in all the turkey and all that holiday shopping this offseason. Check us out on the Fantasy 411 every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on MLB.com radio.
Hey, baseball fans. Only MLB.com takes you straight from the ballpark to your computer. So don't miss a second of the action. Check out MLB.com, the only place for live baseball online. Get live games with MLB.tv and game day audio. See live stats with MLB.com's unique game day feature. For fans who just can't get enough of the game, MLB.com, the official site for all things baseball. The #1 site for Major League Baseball fans.
I was 0 for 11, and it was the year that we got Johnny Mize. He said, I'm going to fix my bat up for you. So I'm up there the first time using the bat, and pitcher threw it high and inside. I duck, I got the ball, hit the bat, line drive, base hit, and I got 199 after that.
Relive your fondest memories of Phil Rizzuto and see his Hall of Fame plaque at the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Visit us on the web at baseballhalloffame.org or call 888-HALL-OF-FAME.
What's the deal with Freddie Garcia? Mariner pitching coach Brian Price enlightens us.
What really happened with Freddie is his ball started to come up and straighten out up in the zone, and he was giving up a lot of extra base hits and home runs, throwing a lot of breaking balls to try to miss bats and things of that nature. We kind of shortened up his arm circle to get the ball down and added a slider and moved him over on the rubber. Probably the biggest thing is that he did for himself was just became more aggressive.
The hottest issues in the game, MLB.com radio.
Well, pitching change for the Scorpions. Right-hander Brandon Metters from the Diamondbacks comes up in relief of Brian Shackelford. He'll have a tough task at hand, I should say. Bases loaded, 1 out. And Chris Aguila, a guy who could put the good lumber on the baseball. He's got decent power. Looking for a double play ball to try to get out of it. 1 out here in the 7th. Metters works from the stretch. First pitch to Aguila, fastball away. Ball 1. Metters 0-1 and a 1.080 ERA, 9 games, 2 saves, 10 innings, 6 hits, 15 punch-outs, 5 walks. Out of Duncanville, Alabama. The 1-0 fastball popped up right side, and that'll slice into the seats. Ball and a strike.
Boy, Metters looks like a guy who just puts a lot of energy into everything. You notice how he follows through when he pitches? That body is in motion, going in about 8 different directions.
Going everywhere.
He's just rearing back and firing as hard as he can.
All arms and legs. 6'2", 200-pounder. One pitch on the way. Curveball caught the corner. Ball and 2 strikes now. Metters an 8th-round pick in 2001 by the D-backs. Spent this past year at AA El Paso. 5-3 and a 4.41 ERA in 56 games. Picked up 7 saves. The right-hander comes set. Checks the runners. The 1-2 pitch. Fastball, strike 3. Down goes Aguila. Second out of the inning. Locked him up with a fastball on the outside part of the plate, and that'll bring up John Knott.
Went hard early on in the count. Got that breaking ball over, set him up, and brought the heat in to close the deal.
And good heat that it was. So it'll be up to John Knott here with 2 outs, bases juiced. Saguaros trailing at 5-2 in the top of the 7th. First pitch on the way, breaking ball away. Ball 1.
That was a hard breaking ball, too. That thing just had snap to it. Everything he's throwing up there has got some kind of purpose to it.
Not on the afternoon, 0 for 3, including 2 punch-outs. Right-handed batter, 1-0. There's a little roller out in front of the mound. Metters has got it. He'll go on to first in time for the 3rd out. So the gamble by Rick Burleson works out as Metters comes in, gets the last 2 batters to get out of a jam. No runs on 1 hit. 3 runners left on base for Peoria. And as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning, 5-2, Scottsdale leads it. And as we were saying earlier on, Lee Mazzilli just named today the manager of the Baltimore Orioles. Let's take a listen in as to what Maz had to say at his press conference.
This is just great. There's so many people I'd like to thank, but I'd like to start, and I know it's a little different. I want to just thank the Yankees for giving me the opportunity to come to Baltimore. George Steinbrenner gave permission for me to come here. He started me out in managing, bringing me back to the Yankees. Joe Torre has been a brother to me all these years. The wealth of knowledge that I've gained from the coaching staff with the Yankees all the way down and player development. So I just want to thank the Yankees for that part of it. What can I say? This is one of the greatest days of my life. Jim said it's been a tough week. He has no idea how tough it's been. He has no idea, and my wife can attest to that. And I didn't think he'd be on pins and needles so many days, but I guess the anticipation has just been overwhelming thinking about this. It's almost like, the Oscars. You want to stand up there and thank everyone. I am looking for this challenge with great enthusiasm. This is a good ball club. This is not a rebuilding ball club. This is a club that can go on the field and compete with any club in this division and in the league. And once we believe that, then this team is going to contend, and that's what we believe, and that's what I believe. And that's what we're going to get amongst the guys in this Oriole team.
That was Lee Mazzilli, the new skipper of the Baltimore Orioles. And Jeff Munn, it'll be interesting, to say the least, because a lot was made going into this postseason as far as both the Chicago White Sox and the Baltimore Orioles in their managerial search, that the majority of the coaches are going to be back or welcome back, and that's something that more times than not, a new skipper has some say as far as the makeup of that coaching staff.
And you get into issues of staff chemistry, things of that nature, and it is going to be very interesting. That's not the normal practice.
Well, Steven Smitherman leads it off for the Scorpions here in the bottom of the 7th inning. The Scorps leading it 5-2. 2 runs, 10 hits, 2 errors for Peoria. 5 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for Scottsdale. Smitherman lines one down the left field line, foul. And Smitherman, a guy who likes to take big hacks up there, did not get cheated on that pitch, but pulled it foul.
Mazzilli you would think would be interested in seeing just how many more guys leave the payroll of the Yankees coaching staff. if he had that opportunity to build his own staff.
I don't know.
Just a thought.
Sure. The Yankees still waiting to see what Mel Stottlemyre is going to do. Eccles' pitch missed inside. Smitherman is drawn a leadoff walk. So Eccles still in there. Had a nice, easy inning in the 6th inning. He ended up getting a double play ball to get out of it. Josh Kroger steps in. And he'll take a pitch, or no, he won't. Stepped out of the batter's box. First pitch on the way, swing and a miss by Kroger. Comes up empty, no balls and a strike.
You talk about the flip side of that situation. You look at New York, where Joe Torre will be dealing with coaches that, while he may know and like Don Mattingly, he had a hitting coach in place. Will have a new bench coach. And you wonder, go ahead. I was just going to say, you wonder how much input Joe will have, if any, in who some of those new coaches will be. And if he doesn't have any input, how well is he going to be able to get along with them?
I think he'll have plenty of input. It's just whether or not what they do now. Who do they go on and get to take over at third base? Because that's where Mazzilli was going. Remember, he was being shifted from first to third. Randolph has already gone to the bench. And apparently, I mean, if you listen to some of the stories, could be the heir apparent to Joe Torre, who is not committed to coming back beyond next year. But many speculate, too, now that Don Mattingly, as a matter of fact, Donnie Baseball conceded that fact, that in his press conference being announced, he was asked about managing. And he basically said, really, it's Willie Randolph who deserves the opportunity. He's been here longer. He's put in the time. And I think many would agree. I think it's ridiculous, the fact that Willie Randolph is nowhere to be found in a managerial dugout, or in a managerial office in Major League Baseball. That, to me, is a travesty.
He's been a candidate a couple of times.
And it's getting to be somewhat tiresome of listening to Willie Randolph's name being mentioned as a candidate. What else does someone like that have to do to get a job managing in the big leagues?
Same thing we're saying today about Eddie Murray.
Kroger fouls one off. Count remains 1-2 strikes.
And again, I'm not knocking. People who are much smarter than I am are the ones making the decision on making Lee Mazzilli the manager of the Orioles. But it's pretty hard to overlook a guy who played most of his career with your ball club, Hall of Famer, tremendous credentials, and is well respected in a clubhouse. And we were listening to Jim Hunter, the voice of the Orioles, on MLB.com radio before we came on the air, and he said, hey, this club wants to win. We want to get back to a position of prominence in baseball.
Two-two pitch on the way. Check swing by Kroger. They ask for help, and third base umpire Pete Durfee rings them up. A good hard breaking ball from Eccles. Records the first down here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And that'll bring up Brennan King. Danny Gentili, our wonderful producer extraordinaire back in New York City, asked an interesting question. Why would Willie Randolph be a good manager? Well, to me, many speculate that the reason why Willie Randolph hasn't gotten a big league job yet is because he lacks the managerial qualifications. That meaning he hasn't managed at any level. But what else can Willie Randolph do, whether it be at the minor league level, that he hasn't already done at the major league level? Working with Joe Torre for the last 8 years, being in the front office prior to that as a special assistant, a perennial all-star as a player, now being moved to bench coach. What else does he need to do? Now, same goes with Eddie Murray. What makes Eddie Murray, what would anybody think would make Eddie Murray a good manager? Well, he's put in his time. At least he's not expecting to be handed something. He's gone out and said, okay, I'm going to be a coach. And he's done it at the major league level. So, I mean, those are valid questions, of course, but you get to a point as Brendan King strikes out for the second out here. You get to a point where, Major League Baseball has a criteria set for what they would like to see in a managerial search. Hence the fact the Reds haven't come out and announced that Dave Miley should be the manager. They have to go through the obligatory search. And I think that's a joke in itself because it's somewhat of a farce. Why come up with a list of candidates, minority candidates, mind you, as Smitherman is thrown out at second base, and we'll conclude this conversation next half inning. Smitherman argues with second base umpire Dan Goller, but to no avail. 3 outs here in the bottom of the 7th inning. We've played 7 from Scottsdale Stadium. 5-2 Scorpions lead it as you're listening to Arizona Fall League action live on MLB.com radio.
I'm Derek Jeter. When I was growing up, my parents and I would go to the schoolyard every weekend and play ball. They teach me how if I practiced and didn't give up, my swing could get better. But if I got in front of the ball and wasn't afraid, I could stop it. But there weren't any shortcuts to becoming a better player. But if I believed in myself, I could do it. Funny, all that time, I thought they were teaching me how to play baseball.
Helping your kids find a dream can help keep them off drugs. This message brought to you by Partnership for Drug-Free America. Visit us at drugfreeamerica.org.
Avoid going into spring training wondering where the free agents have landed and what your team looks like heading into the 2004 season. Let MLB.com radio keep you informed with our Hot Stove Report. Mainstays Seth Everett, Billy Sample, and Jonathan Mayo bring you the most up-to-date information while they chat with general managers, scouts, and those inside. Just because the World Series is over doesn't mean we stop thinking baseball. The Hot Stove Report, found only at MLB.com radio.
Hi, this is Tommy Lasorda. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate my good friend Ben Platt for the great interviews he does on MLB.com radio.
Well, thank you, Tommy. You know, I try to interview everyone in baseball, from Hall of Famers like you to the new stars just coming on the scene, every morning on the Baseball Breakfast with Billy Sample and Jonathan Mayo, and afternoons on deck with Seth Everett and Victor Rojas.
Hey, Ben, one thing I don't get is, what's this Benny P stuff?
Tommy, it's just a radio nickname they gave me back in the station.
Benny P this, Benny P that. You weren't Benny P 10 years ago when you started out covering the Dodgers. I'm one of the few guys that knew you when you were poor. Man, I thought you were going to soil yourself every time you did an interview with me.
Man, last year you accused me of starting the Kingman interview, now this. The Benny P interviews, exclusively on MLB.com radio.
Benny P, what a joke.
At the top of the 8th inning we go. 5-2 Scorpions lead it. And it'll be 8-9-1 for the Saguaros of Peoria. Huber, Permaniak, Andrew Meyer. Victor Rojas alongside Jeff Munn here, wrapping up the second week of Arizona Fall League action here on MLB.com radio. And we wrap up our coverage entirely next week. Monday through Thursday, 4 regular season games. As Huber fouls one back and out of play. And then we go into Saturday's championship ball game after an off day next Friday. Saturday, November 15th. And as far as I know, game time is yet to be decided, so we will get that for you. But as a programming note, we will be on at 3 o'clock Eastern time on Monday from Mesa. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week, because of the general manager's meeting, Arizona Fall League action gets underway at 4:30 Eastern time. So, Jeff Munn, back to the topic at hand. We were talking about managers and Willie Randolph, Eddie Murray, and the obligatory managerial searches in the Dave Miley situation. You know, I'm a minority. My father's a minority, and the one thing that he has become very disenchanted with is Huber swings and misses for the first out. Metters picks up his second strikeout in an inning. That'll bring up J.J. Permaniak. But back to my old man, who spent many years player, coach, scout, manager. The one thing that he dislikes the most about his name being circulated, whether it be now down in Florida as a third base coach replacing Ozzie Guillen, is the fact that he only feels that his name is brought up because of the fact that he's Cuban, not because of his qualifications. And I think that bothers a lot of guys. I think Chris Chambliss has gotten fed up with the situation. I think Dave Stewart has gotten fed up with the situation. And I think it's a lot of guys around Major League Baseball, guys that are very qualified to hold either coaching or managerial jobs, or even front office jobs for that matter, get tired of the fact that they have to be put on a list because of he's black or he's Hispanic or he's Asian, whatever the case may be. And I think that really hamstrings the process.
I agree with you. I think in terms, we've heard this brought up in football a great deal, in the Detroit Lions situation where Matt Millen was fined for not going through the quote-unquote normal process, and, oh, look, we're going to have a pitching change.
Well, Permaniak just struck out looking. So I don't know why we're making a pitching change unless Rick Burleson needs to get these guys in the game because of course, the games were canceled yesterday. But Brandon Metters from the Diamondbacks, 4 batters up, 4 batters down, 3 punch-outs. As he goes an inning and a third. And we'll have a pitching change here, so we'll pause. We're in the top of the 8th inning, 5-2, nobody on, 2 outs. It'll be Drew Meyer coming up for Peoria as they trail it 5-2. You're listening to Arizona Fall League action live on MLB.com radio.
MLB.com radio heats up even as the weather cools down. Join Diamondbacks broadcaster and MLB.com radio contributor Victor Rojas as we bring you Arizona Fall League action. Just because the World Series is over doesn't mean the play stops. Check out some of the best the minor leagues has to offer with prospects like Delman Young, J.D. Durbin, and J.R. House, just steps away from the big time. Victor Rojas in Arizona Fall League action. It's MLB.com radio heating up on the road to the 2004 season. And don't worry, it's a dry heat.
You love the game. You love your team. And you love your friends and family. So to get home safely, you hand off your keys to a sober, designated driver. America's all-star team of sports leagues, stadium service partners, brewers, broadcasters, and traffic safety experts thanks to sober, designated drivers who make sure you buckle up and get you home safely.
Victor Rojas has done it all. He's played minor league baseball, worked the bullpen as a catcher with the Florida Marlins. He was the general manager of a minor league team that won a championship, and now he works as part of the broadcast team for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Yet with all of that, Victor still finds time to fill us with many baseball tidbits.
Since you're all fired up, Ricky's a pretty quotable guy.
Yeah.
Just ask him. I don't want to be one of those great players who never made it to the series. He played in 3 World Series. Well, I'm not one of them, so that's 49% right there on Ken Caminiti's claim that at least 50% of the big leaguers use steroids.
Over in the top of the 8th inning and 2 outs, and Drew Meyer just laid down a beautiful bunt up the first base line. He was able to leg it out for an infield single with 2 outs, so he's on board. Jake Gautreau will be the batter. As a new pitcher now for the Scottsdale Scorpions is left-hander Mike Gallo out of the Houston Astros organization. So back to this wonderful conversation that we've been having. Yes. Danny asked me about Willie Randolph as to whether or not he is qualified to be a manager. Well, who's to say that Ozzie Guillet, 3 years coaching at the big league level, is ready to be a manager of a major league ball club?
There's a lot of factors, obviously, that go into the selection of a manager, and I think one of the key ones from just the strict baseball standpoint is how you are perceived in a clubhouse by your players. And I think respect is going to be a big issue with anybody you choose. And when you talk about Willie Randolph, now here's a guy who's been part of that clubhouse, that coaching staff for many, many years. And when you say what more does he have to do, I think he's taking the next and last step he has to take in being a bench coach.
1-1 pitch upstairs with the breaking pitch, 2-1 now on Gautreau.
Because as we know, we're seeing that more and more in Major League Baseball, where most of your top managerial prospects are coming from the ranks of the bench coaches, the guys who have to work hand in hand with the manager to set up the strategy, go through scouting reports, and are oftentimes a vital communication link between the manager and the players.
Sure. 2-1, swing and a miss. Good slider from Gallo. Count is even to 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And when you talk about respect, Eddie Murray. Is there a player a former player, who would garner more respect from today's players than Eddie Murray?
Sure. And 2 guys you were just mentioning as far as bench coach and Guys that come up from AAA, Eric Wedge with the Cleveland Indians and Bob Melvin with the Seattle Mariners. But I think you get to a certain Ken Maka with the Oakland Athletics, was the bench coach there before taking over. I think it all depends on, of course, the general manager and the situation in which they're walking into. Who would have thunk it that Francona, his name, would come up again? As Gautreau pops one up down the left field line, that'll get into the seats. Now remains 3-2. Terry Francona was brutal as a manager with the Philadelphia Phillies. Horrific. He basically got run out of Dodge in Philadelphia. His name never resurfaced. Went to Texas, was a coach with the Texas Rangers. Now is a bench coach with the Oakland Athletics. And all of a sudden, we talked about the old retreads whenever there was managerial. Well, let's talk to Davey Johnson and let's talk to all those guys. That doesn't happen anymore. Gautreau grounds out to first base. Maloney's got it. He'll tag the bag himself for the third out. So Gallo does the job here in the Saguaros, half of the eighth inning. No runs, one hit, one left on for Peoria. We head to the bottom of the eighth inning. It's the Scorpions 5, Saguaros 2. You're listening to Arizona Fall League Action live on MLB.com radio.
Hey, fantasy baseball freaks and geeks, the Fantasy 411 is back for the 2003 offseason with Corey Schwartz and me, Mike Piano, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll give you the fantasy impact of all the offseason moves like free agent signings, trades, and even front office changes. Plus, we'll answer all your emails at radio@MLB.com. So don't get caught up in all the turkey and all that holiday shopping this offseason. Check us out on the Fantasy 411 every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on MLB.com radio.
Hey, baseball fans. Only MLB.com takes you straight from the ballpark to your computer. So don't miss a second of the action. Check out MLB.com, the only place for live baseball online. Get live games with MLB.tv and game day audio. See live stats with MLB.com's unique game day feature. For fans who just can't get enough of the game, MLB.com, the official site for all things baseball. The #1 site for Major League Baseball fans.
I was 0 for 11, and it was the year that we got Johnny Mize. He said, I'm going to fix my bat up for you. So I'm up there the first time using the bat and pitch it through it high and inside. I duck, I got the ball, hit the bat, line drive, base hit, and I got 199 after that.
Relive your fondest memories of Phil Rizzuto and see his Hall of Fame plaque at the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Visit us on the web at baseballhalloffame.org or call 888-HALL-OF-FAME.
What's the deal with Freddie Garcia? Mariner pitching coach Brian Price enlightens us.
What really happened with Freddie is his ball started to come up and straighten out up in the zone, and he was giving up a lot of extra base hits and home runs, throwing a lot of breaking balls to try to miss bats and things of that nature. We kind of shortened up his arm circle to get the ball down and added a slider and moved him over on the rubber. Probably the biggest thing is that he did for himself was just became more aggressive.
The hottest issues in the game. MLB.com radio.
Bottom of the eighth inning we go. New pitcher for the Peoria Saguaros, Matt Hampton of the San Diego Padres. Left-hander comes in. And first pitch swing is Sergio Santos, and he drives one deep to left field. Nobody's going to get this one. Gone! Big fly for Sergio Santos. Solo shot here to lead off the bottom of the eighth inning, make it 6-2 Scorpions. Santos not wasting any time. Picks up home run number 3 of the Arizona Fall League, RBI number 10.
And both the home runs today that Scottsdale has hit have been no doubters. Sardina had one that went over the bullpen and left. And Santos, as you said, just crushed this ball.
Well, Matt Hampton comes in relief of Justin Eccles, who had a shaky 3 innings. He really had just one shaky inning, that being the 5th. With 3 total, 6 hits, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, 5 runs. Chris Snyder took a pitch low for ball 1, swings and misses on the changeup. A ball and a strike.
I think one of the things is to expand the thought about managing and the role of potential new managers. I think in the last couple of years that one of the really newfangled things that fans are learning about in baseball is the role of the bench coach. It used to be that when you said bench coach, you think, well, they sit there and talk to the bench all game long?
Right. Snyder pops one up, shallow right field, not coming on the right fielder, and he will make the catch for the first out.
But today, the bench coach, as it has evolved, is now like the principal strategist. I mean, you got a guy who's coming in the morning and going over scouting reports and working with the manager to set up the lineups, get the matchups set a certain way. During spring training, the bench coach, in many cases, is responsible for setting up the practice schedule, what each station the players are going to go to.
And he's the go-between. A lot of times you get a manager that maybe has communication problems with the players, with the various players, and that's why you have a strong personality as a bench coach. Other times it's a tactical guy. Maybe your communication skill is perfect, but tactically you're not as strong in that area, so you bring in a bench coach that is good in the fundamentals of game management just to help you out. He's your right-hand guy. That's all he basically is.
And the players know that, too, because in a lot of cases, when they have a problem and maybe they're not communicating with the manager, they're going to go to the bench coach.
Sure.
It's the kind of role that a third base coach used to have a few years ago.
Agreed. Dane Sardina, the batter, has a 1-ball, 1-strike count. 6-2 Scorpions leading it. Nobody on, 1 out. Sardina laces one down the left field corner and out of play. Home run distance, but pulled it foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Sardina already with a home run in this game, a 2-run shot coming in the 5th inning.
I've just been reading Larry Durker's book called This Ain't Brain Surgery. And he went from the broadcast booth down to the dugout. And he told a story about his first spring training game. Now, this is spring training, mind you. There's not as much of an emphasis on winning and losing. And he said that the amount of decisions that he had to make by the 6th inning, he was just wiped out. He was tired. Needed a break.
2-2 pitch on the way. Swing and a miss, and down goes Sardina for the second out here in the 8th inning. Well, that'll bring up Nick Gornall. Well, we have a couple of instant messages here. Philly Dan wants to know, what do we think of the Billy Wagner trade? I, for one, I think it's a good move for the Philadelphia Phillies. Yes, they take on some added payroll, but that whole situation on the back end of the bullpen needed to be addressed. They already picked up the option on Real Cormier, and now they trade of Billy Wagner for Brandon Duckworth, a guy who's got some upside, of course, but really hasn't put together a big league level, and 2 minor league prospects. So I think for the Phillies, I still think that they need to go out and get some frontline pitching. And they also, because they need to replace Kevin Millwood, and they need to pick up quality arms to shore up the bullpen. I think their offense is going to be fine.
Yeah, the way it looks now, and you don't expect. The other thing you got to remember about the Phillies is Burrell had a really off year, and you don't expect that to continue. So if he comes back to form, that offense just gets even better.
Yep. Gornall hits one to the left side, through the hole and into left field, base hit. A little slow roller that right north for Maniac could get to. So a 2-out base hit, and they'll take us to the top of the order. Scott Harrison.
The other thing about the Phillies is toward the end of the season, they were having to move Cormier into the closer spot because obviously Mesa had his problems. Mike Williams was struggling after the trade from Houston. And Cormier, as good as he is really better suited to be a 7th, 8th inning type of guy.
Well, and that's the other question, too, as you go into 04. Do you assume that Real Cormier is what we saw this year of Real Cormier was the real Cormier? Or is it going to be another Chris Hammond type of situation? You caught lightning in a bottle, had a fantastic season, but, back down to earth comes Cormier, just like Hammond did this year. And not to take anything away from Chris, he had a nice season for the New York Yankees, but it wasn't .86 ERA that he had for the Braves 2 years ago.
Well, he certainly couldn't go into next year with Cormier as the closer, especially for that reason. What if he isn't? What if it was lightning in a bottle? Well, you've got a little bit more flexibility if you're talking about a guy who's pitching in the 7th and 8th inning. And the good thing with Wagner is, as we all know, you know what you're getting from Billy Wagner.
0-2 pitch to Harrison inside, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Brandon Duckworth is it's got the potential to be a very good frontline pitcher down the road. But they clearly, it's like a quote I saw on the web this week. If they have Billy Wagner in August and September, it might have been them having the parade.
Hit and run is on, and Harrison will flare one into right center field. Gornall round second, heading to third. Being waved around by Rick Burleson is Gornall. He's going to score and make it 7-2. RBI double for Scott Hairston, who picks up his 4th hit of the afternoon, his 2nd ribeye, and it's a 7-2 lead for the Scorpions.
Well, you think this guy's ready to make some noise in spring training in Tucson?
Well, there's no question about that. And just a very, very nice guy, too. I mean, just a gentleman. Chance to talk to him last week. And of course, all of those interviews, those big league interviews, are all archived on MLB.com, the Arizona Fall League page.
That's the way to promote it.
James Loney steps up. 2 outs, man on. Breaking ball in there. Strike 1. I guess the only question or concern you would have if you're a Phillies fan is whether or not Billy Wagner was overworked this year. Jimmy Williams, a guy who liked to bring him in for 2 innings. Sometimes save situations. Sometimes non-save situations. I believe he reached a career high in innings pitched this year. Does Billy Wagner turn out to be the Billy Koch of 04? Because Koch in 02 with the A's was phenomenal, overworked, and was brutal this year. Loney takes the outside slider for a cold strike 3, and down goes Loney for the 3rd out. But the Scorpions put 2 runs on the board on 3 hits. A solo home run by Sergio Santos to lead it off. We've played 8 innings here in Scottsdale. Scorpions leading at 7-2 as you're listening to Arizona Fall League action live on MLB.com radio.
Right now, fall is in full color at Kohl's. Kohl's has all the brands your family loves, like Nike, Levi's, Dockers, Mudd, Lee, Oshkosh, and many more. Every size, every color, fully stocked. And with Kohl's great sale prices, you can bundle up without spending a bundle. Plus, you'll enjoy Kohl's hassle-free returns, stroller carts, easy checkouts, and storefront parking. So come on in and see what's new for fall at Kohl's. Kohl's. Shop happy, leave happy.
Hey, Cardinals fans, STLCardinals.com is the official website for Cardinals information. Don't miss a second of the action. STLCardinals.com is the only place for live baseball action on the net with game day audio. Watch video highlights of every game with postgame.tv. Heading to the ballpark? Buy tickets to any game and buy the latest Cardinal gear online at the shop. For diehard Cards fans like you, STLCardinals.com, the #1 site for Cardinals fans.
Being inducted into the Hall of Fame is the ultimate after you had a successful major league career. Of course, I took 4 years out for World War II. I joined the Navy 2 days after Pearl Harbor, and I'm very proud to be an American and hope I've been a good one.
Relive your fondest memories of Bob Feller and see his Hall of Fame plaque at the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. For more information, visit us on the web at baseballhalloffame.org or call 888-HALL-OF-FAME.
Bases are loaded. There's the hot shot to 11-year-old right fielder Smith. Smith relays the ball to Baker. Baker fires to Ellis. Ellis to Purdy. Purdy to Stearns. And Stearns can cut off Mascot. Now that's
teamwork. Just one lesson kids learn through the Baseball Tomorrow Fund, a partnership between Major League Baseball and its players that connects kids with baseball and softball programs worldwide. To learn more, visit baseballtomorrowfund.com.
To the 9th inning here at Scottsdale Stadium, along with Victor Rojas, Jeff Munn, and the Scorpions will turn things over to the Fall League leader in saves, Joe Valentine, out of the Reds organization. Now with a 5-run lead, he is not in that position at the moment, and he will face David Wright to start the 9th inning. Wright is 2 for 4 with a pair of singles. And Valentine's first pitch is swung on and popped into right center field. Moving over is Gornol. He's there near the track. He makes the catch. They had a little more jump on it than it first appeared. And there's one down in the 9th.
That ball tends to carry pretty well towards right field here for whatever reason, and that one did. Wright almost got it out of here.
So one down for Adrian Gonzalez. Gonzalez is 0 for 2 with a pair of walks. The Scorpions were down 2-0 in the 5th and put up a 5 spot and added 2 insurance runs in the bottom of the 8th. And now they're looking to close things out, and Valentine delivers a fastball low. So an emotional day for a number of, well, just everybody in the Arizona Fall League, and in particular the players in the Reds uniforms. for them, a momentary distraction by getting a good effort in here on the field as Gonzalez takes a pitch low, 2 balls and no strikes. If you were not with us at the start of the ball game, there was a moment of silence to honor Darnell Stenson. A heavy amount of media were here at the start of the ball game as Valentine delivers low, 3 balls and no strikes. But the business of baseball taking over afterwards, and some good pitching performances by both the starters. Ben Hendrickson for Peoria out of the Brewers organization. There's a strike to Gonzalez in the count 3-1. And Houston's Greg Powell pitching for Scottsdale. Now the set by Valentine with the bases empty and 1 out, and a pitch grounded back up the middle, scooped up by Santos, who spins and throws him out. Nice play.
It's a really nice play. Smooth, defensively going to his left, scooping it up. It looked like the ball came up and got him on the wrist, but he was able to stick with it, wheel around, and throw out for the second out.
So an example there of a big middle infielder with lots of range, and that's the trend, we are told, by those who are scouting players these days, to go to bigger middle infielders because they're more agile than they were maybe 10, 15 years ago. So now the Saguaros down to their last hope in the form of Josh Willingham, the designated hitter on this day, and he takes a pitch low and outside. Willingham has done just what a DH is supposed to do. He's hit. He's 3 for 3, 3 singles, a run scored, and a walk. 7-2 Scorpions. 9th inning, 2 out, bases empty. Valentine delivers off speed outside. 2 balls and no strikes on Josh Willingham out of the Florida Marlins organization. Came into the day batting .283, but that number is going to look a lot better tomorrow.
And Scottsdale, with a win today, would move within a game of the Saguaros in second place in that American division.
And there is just a week to go.
They will play tomorrow and then Monday through Thursday, so 5 games left to go in the regular season after today.
The count 3 balls and no strikes, and Valentine's pitch to Willingham's a fastball in there, and the count 3-1. Valentine, the 7th Scorpion pitcher. Now the 3-1 pitch, and that's low, ball 4. So Willingham keeps it alive with a 2-out walk, and Chris Aguila will be the batter. Aguila doubled and scored back in the first, drove in a run, drove in Willingham. Since then, rough times. Fly to left in the 4th, struck out swinging in the 5th, struck out looking in the 7th. Valentine ready in the first pitch. He is swung on and fouled off to the right out of play. Valentine was part of the trade that the Reds conducted with Oakland near the trade deadline that also brought them right-handed pitcher Aaron Harang from Oakland in exchange for outfielder Jose Guillen. The 0-1 pitch, breaking ball is swung on and missed, and Valentine badly fooled Aguila on that cutter. So the Saguaros down to their final strike with Willingham at first and 2 out and a 7-2 Scorpion lead. Now the 0-2 pitch, breaking ball low and outside. Victor mentioned next week the GM meetings. There will be no shortage of topics or guests. Quite a few people wandering around the ballpark starting middle of next week. 1-2 pitch is a fastball swung on and missed, and that'll do it. So the Scorpions pick up a victory on what has obviously been a difficult day for just about everybody in the Arizona Fall League, but the Scorpions in particular, and they win this ball game 7-2.
Yeah, a good ball game for Scottsdale. They bounced back with everything that happened, of course, a couple of days ago. Bouncing back, no games yesterday. Now just 5 games left in the regular season. They will pick up a game on the Saguaros in that American division. Of course, the Solar Sox lead the Saguaros going into this one by 5 games, now possibly 4, depending on what happened with Mesa earlier this afternoon. So That's going to wrap it up for here. Peoria goes two runs, 11 hits, 2 errors, 13 runners left on base. Scottsdale, 7 runs, 11 hits, 1 error, 7 left on base. Saguaros picks up his second win. He is now 2-0. Eccles suffers a loss. He is 0-3. Jeff, as always, a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you on Monday.
You got it, brother. We'll see you in Mesa.
You got it. It'll be the Mesa Solar Sox hosting the Peoria Javelinas, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. And for our producer, Dan Gentili back in New York City, I'm Victor Rojas. Thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you on Monday.